Labrīt! Mani sauc Ingūna Žīgura, es esmu Lījas sabiedriskā pārstāve Somijā kopš 2009. gada novembra. Un tagad es jūs laipni aicinu šeit un sāksim tagad mūsu programmu. Tā, jūsu ekscelence, Somijas vēstnieces kundze, godājamie Somijas viesi, Latvijas uzņēmēji, dāmas un kungi. Es tiešām esmu ļoti pagodināta šodien uzrunāt jūs Latvijas Investīciju un attīstības aģentūras un Svetbanka organizētajā seminārā, kur tēma ir biznesa iespējas Somijas tirgū. Un tiešām priecājos, ka zālē ir tik daudz cilvēku un ceru, ka šis seminārs dos jums atkal jaunas ieceres un spējas palīdzēt jums attīstīt jūsu projektus un jūsu biznesu Somijā. Esam pagodināti, ka jūsu vēstnieces kundze piekritāt atklāt šo semināru un iepazīstināt klātesošos ar Somijas un Latvijas divpusējām attiecībām, kuras allazi bijusi dinamiskas. Šo attiecību attīstībai ir ļoti liels nākotnes potenciāls. Neskatoties uz Islandes vulkāna aktivitāšu rezultātā radītajiem šķēršļiem, esam ļoti priecīgi, ka Somijas pārstāvi tomēr ir raduši iespēju atbraukt uz šo semināru. Kītos todēļ paļoju. Paldies Lijā un Svetbankai, kas organizē šo semināru, tādēļ uzsverot Somijas tirgus nozīmi un perspektīvas. Somija ir viena no Latvijas tuvākajām kaimiņu valstīm. Latvijas un Somijas attiecības veido mūsu valstu kopējā vēsture, kultūra, kā arī aktīvās ekonomiskās attiecības, kas šo gadu laikā ir dinamiski attīstījušās un meklē ar vien jaunas sadarbības virziens. Somija šobrīd ir starp 10 lielākajiem investoriem Latvijā, un viņai ir liela loma Latvijas ekonomikas attīstībā. Šobrīd Latvijai ir reģistrēti 365 Somijas uzņēmumi. Lai arī pēdējos gadus Latvijas ekonomiskā situācija ir bijusi saspringta un izaicinājuma pilna, pirmie pozitīvie signāli sāk liecināt par ekonomiskās situācijas atlapšanu. Krīze ir atstājusi savus pēdas arī Somijas ekonomikā, un tādēļ būs varbūt vērtīgi uzzināt arī viņu pieredzi. Šobrīd Latvijas uzņēmēji aktīvi meklē ar vien jaunas iespējas gan Somijā, gan citās Ziemeļvalstīs, uzskatot šos tirgus par perspektīviem. Ir augus arī Somijas uzņēmēji interesi par sadarbības iespējām ar Latviju, un tam ir izveidots ļoti lielisks pamats šo gadu laikā. Somijas uzņēmēji interesi par Latviju apliecina arī tas, ka jūnija sākumā vizītē Latvijā ieradīsies Somijas prezidenta Tārja Halonena, un prezidentē līdz dosies arī uzņēmēju delegācija, tā kā gaidīsim un varat būt ļoti laipni aicināt arī tad. Un vizītes ietveros plānotais Somijas un Latvijas uzņēmēju fórums būs lieliski iespēja jums nodibināt jaunus kontaktus un varbūt radīt jaunas sadarbības iespējas.
I'm very happy that LIA, Investment and Development Agency of Latvia, has organized this seminar. I believe that there is great potential in developing the business relations between our two countries. Maybe we are too close really to appreciate the opportunities there are for business in such a close neighborhood we are in. We have 6 excellent speakers from Finland who, despite the problems created by the volcano of Iceland, traveled here by land and by ferry and are able to explain you in details how it is to do business in Finland. The community between the Baltic and Nordic countries is getting closer and closer every year, economically, politically and socially. European Union has agreed on the Baltic Sea strategy, which is first in its kind in the Union. That means that we will be a distinctive sub-region of the Union. All the countries surrounding the Baltic Sea, except Russia, we are members of European Union and thus part of the Baltic Sea strategy. The aim of this strategy is to create environmentally sustainable place, a prosperous, accessible and attractive place, and safe and secure place. All this is good for business as well. The Finnish economy has been suffering during the recent recession. The economy was shrinking by 7.8% last year. Recovery is on its way, but it's slower than expected. It will depend on how the world economy and Europe is recovering. However, the economy of Finland will grow stronger than average in European Union, that is more than 2% this year and next year. Almost half of the Finnish gross national product comes from exports. This is a sector that has suffered the most during the recession. It fell by 24%. We expect a recovery to happen, to take place little by little as well. There are many advantages in doing business with Finland. Finland is the only Nordic country to be a member of the Eurozone. This makes it easy to do business with Finland. Unfortunately for the export side, the euro has remained strong compared to the dollar, although it has weakened a little during the past months. Another advantage is that Finland uses for research and development 3.7% of our gross domestic product. This is the second highest figure in European Union and one of the highest in the world. We are very proud of this high figure. This gives companies a good advantage when developing their innovations. Good education level is our pride, and we keep on focusing to make it even better. Interesting new development is when a new Aalto University was created last year by combining 3 universities, which is the University of Technology, University of Design, and Helsinki University. This is quite revolutionary in Europe, as the idea of combining these universities is to break the borders between the specialized universities and faculties, and in this way create new thinking, new innovations, new possibilities for design. Everybody's following this. It's a kind of experiment, what will be the result, but I'm very optimistic about it, and it's a very interesting idea. The trade between Finland and Latvia was last year 336 million euros. Imports was 144 million euros and exports 192 million euros. Reduction from 1998 was 47% for our trade figures. This is seems to be quite normal for all the countries doing business with Latvia, that the trade figures have gone down so much. The total trade figure that time was 630 million euros. So almost half of the trade has gone down. Of the exports from Finland to Latvia, 2/3 are products of paper industry, electronics and machinery. The exports from Latvia to Finland have been wood products, textiles and metal products. The exports from Finland to Latvia have always been higher than imports from Latvia to Finland. To balance the trade, the amount of Finnish tourists has increased rapidly. Last year we estimate that there was 250,000 Finns who came to Latvia, most of them to Riga. The total amount of investments of Finnish companies in Latvia is about 420 million euros. Among the foreign investors in Latvia, Finland is the 6th biggest investor. We have about 365 Finnish companies who are registered here in Latvia and doing business here. Now that the economies of both of our countries are recovering, this should give us a good possibilities to go back to the previous level of trade and even to increase from that level. Good information on how to get to know the possibilities to start the business in Finland is through the excellent web pages of Invest in Finland Bureau. The representative will explain you later in detail how to access these web pages. Also, the web pages of FinPro, the Finnish Business Promotion Board, which is also promoting business in both ways, are very useful in respect. The representative, Ms. Lolita Pankova, is here today, and she can advise you further on these matters. This year, there is even more momentum to improve business relations. The President of Finland, Ms. Tarja Halonen, will make a state visit to Latvia 7th and 8th of June. During this visit, she and the President of Latvia will open a business seminar to be organized at Latvia Hotel in the afternoon of Monday, the 7th of June. This seminar will be organized by LIA and FinPro together with Latvian Finnish Trade Guild in Riga and Latvian Finnish Trade Association in Finland. The Embassy of Finland is contributing to the development of our trade relations at the general level. This seminar gives good information on how to balance the trade between our two countries by increasing the exports from Latvia to Finland. I would like especially to thank the organizers of the seminar, Ms. Sigure and Swedbank, for providing this venue and supporting this seminar. I wish all the success to you and to the deliberations of this seminar. Thank you so much.
I was asked to tell you about business opportunities in Finland for Latvian companies and also about the economical situation, which already our ambassador very well opened up in a nutshell for you. I will focus in my presentation on the business opportunities side, but I have also something on the economy. Invest in Finland, just like LIAA, our task is to promote foreign direct investment into other countries. Why do we do this kind of work, both of us? Of course, for completely selfish reasons. Our goal is to bring in new jobs into our country, more capital and know-how. I believe LIA is doing the same here. In addition, we believe in some sectors it's important to increase competition also in a small economy such as Finland. With foreign direct investment, what we mean, you can see the definition there. Basically, a situation where a foreign company will establish its own legal entity in Finland in this case. This can happen through mergers, acquisitions, as you can see later, or by creating a completely new company. Here you see the statistics of our performance as an economy. You don't see figures back in the 90s, but then there was both in Finland and globally a big upturn in foreign direct investment. This means the number of companies entering Finland, new business entities. So this as such has nothing to do with capital. Capital flows can be interesting when you look at foreign direct investment, but we prefer to look at number of companies, basically because especially in a small economy, just one big merger acquisition will turn down the and change the statistics completely and maybe play a too big a role in it. So I think this gives you a better understanding what is happening. We can see the global crisis affecting Finland as well when you look at foreign direct investment. One of the, let's say, trends we have been seeing in Finland as well as pretty much throughout Europe is that services-oriented investments have been coming in and growing. And I don't mean only trade and services, but services relating to industries as well. Whereas industrial investment has been going out of Europe to China, India, places like that. One of the characteristics you can see in Finland are the years right after the millennium here. If you look at global foreign direct investment, when I say FDI, I mean foreign direct investment. FDI terms, there was a big drop here after the change of the millennium, and if you remember the hype we had in information and communications technology, ICT, around the year 2000, we got a lot of investment. Finland was at the top front of that development, and I can say it's really good for foreign direct investment promotion when your economy is so strong in something that those companies who want to be in the business, they really don't have any choice. They have to come to your economy. And since then, we have developed other strengths, but nothing comparable, I must say, even though we have a lot of strengths. But that was a really special time during the year 2000, if you sure you remember. But then the growth of services started after that, and we didn't see a big drop in foreign direct investment as there was globally because of that. And you can also see that the share of mergers and acquisitions is roughly 50% of the total. A little bit more about statistics and our performance as an organization. In promoting foreign direct investment, we look at the number of cases we have been involved in during a given year. So, for instance, if you look at 2008, a total of 185 companies entered Finland. And in 37 cases, we had something to do with it. And that's how we calculate our market share, which was 20% that year. So even though number of investments has been going down during the recent years, our market share has been very, very positive indeed. But in that respect, it's important to underline what we mean with market share in our case. Like I said, we've had something to do with the company. It doesn't mean that those companies wouldn't be in Finland without us. We have cases like that, and companies that we have gone and been proactive and convinced them to settle in Finland. But the majority of the cases, we have just assisted the companies or provided them information. So I don't want to also exaggerate our role in this respect. What we are very pleased about is the positive customer feedback we are getting. We are measuring customer satisfaction from 0 to 5, and our score is close to 4.5 in the feedback we are getting. So we are not perfect, but we are doing something right. Like our ambassador already explained, we feel that being part of Eurozone really has brought a great deal of stability, especially during these difficult times we have been living during the past couple of years. It has affected also interest rates in Finland and made it easier for us to also get loans from abroad at a reasonable cost. There's a big difference in our economical situation. I'm sure I'm here with 5 other colleagues from Finland. They will also cover this in their speeches from different angles about the economy and how we are doing. Basically, big difference with the difficult situation we had in the early 90s is that this time we could afford, we have been able to stimulate the economy. When we were hit by loss of trade with Russia in early 90s, we lost overnight about a quarter, almost a third of our foreign trade. And at the same time there was a recession in Europe. And as our ambassador said, we are very dependent on foreign trade. Almost 50% of the GNP is stimulated by that. So we were struck by two things at the same time in the 90s, and our economy wasn't strong enough then to so that it would have enabled us to stimulate the economy. Now we've been able to do that. So we are building roads, repairing schools and public buildings, and that has a very positive effect on the economy. A little bit about these figures. Regarding unemployment, we can see the December figure there, but the estimation for this year, unfortunately, is 2% higher than that. The positive thing is then that in 2011 we are confident that unemployment will start to come down to 9 point something. At least the direction will be positive. And as far as inflation is concerned, this year's estimation is 1.5% for the total year, next year being a little bit more, 2.5. Also, in terms of getting back to stimulating economy, the investment and public spending we are putting to research and development stimulation is also a very important part, and like our ambassador explained, we are setting 3.7% of our GMP into that. And that's also very positive for companies. If you establish a business unit in Finland, it's considered a Finnish company. Doesn't matter who owns the company when it's registered there, and you have the equal rights to get support for not only for research and development, but also for if the subsidiary in Finland is exporting, for instance. Regarding this economic situation, we are expecting and seeing positive results from the big economies in the world. They are recovering, and that's already affecting our situation in a positive way. And regardless of difficult times, it's perhaps worth to mention that prices on real estate haven't gone down dramatically in Finland. So far as we've been able to stimulate the economy through public spending, yes, we are having problems, but they haven't really been that bad yet. The problem is that if worse comes to worse and the economy doesn't recover, we can't afford to stimulate the economy much longer. So really now we need to get the exports moving and getting the investments in. And even in the best scenario, we will need to keep let's say, a deficit in our state budget, and we have to keep loaning for a few years still. Building projects as such have gone down, but like I said, prices on houses, flats haven't gone down. In our economy also, it is crucial that people continue to live longer than before. It's if we don't do that, it seems evident that we will not be able to maintain the well-being society we're having today. And Finland has the biggest baby boom generation. I mean, people that were born after the Second World War, and percentage-wise in Europe. So I will speak about that later, relating to healthcare. A little bit comparison on the Nordic level, and if we take that beyond to European level, comparing within EU, Finland is surprisingly competitive in that respect. We can't compete with China or India in terms of cost. Perhaps we shouldn't even try to, but in that respect, we are a good environment to operate in. Of course, when you look at salary levels, you always have to put that into context. What are the prices for products on that market, or if you operate in that market, what sort of profits are you making there? and sales margins. If those are high enough, you can then also afford to pay higher salaries, though. Depends how you look at it. And I believe many of you want to know what are the total costs for employing people in Finland. I will tell you in detail about that. These are the salaries in different professions, and when you multiply these figures by 1.25, you get roughly the total cost an employer has to pay. In Latvian Lati, I'm sure you can convert yourself, but for instance, sales management is similar to 4,200 roughly, and for an accountant, for instance, 2,000 in your currency per month. Now I move into business sectors as promised. These are the focus sectors where we proactively contact companies abroad and try to get them to Finland. I'm not going to talk about every sector. I've selected a few of them based on what I believe might best fit into companies from your region. I'd be happy to, of course, answer questions now and later relating to any of these sectors. And I'm not claiming that I'm an expert and know everything about every sector. I'm not saying that, but I know something about them. Let's first talk a little bit about environmental technology, clean tech as a new term. I bring three very specific business opportunities for companies. During the next years, we will have to build 15 times more wind power than we are having today. And it means somebody has to build all that infrastructure. I mentioned here 1,000 new wind generators. There are people who claim it will be 1,500 or even more. Somebody has to build them, and new players are welcome. Secondly, in the water renovation market, big part of our building facilities have been built in the 40s, 50s, and also the municipal engineering systems for water transport drainage systems. Those need to be renovated, and it's a huge task worth 4 billion euros by 2020. Also there, we have a few strong players on the market. We're happy to have them, but more competition is always welcome. Finally, about energy efficiency. We have decided that we want to increase the use of renewable energy to almost 40% of the total consumption. You heard right, 38%, and we are already at 25%, which is huge. And this change has to happen before 2020. And we are cutting energy use, as you say. This is, I believe, one nuclear plant represents roughly 8 terawatt hours, I believe. Correct me if I'm wrong, something like that. And this energy is 37 terawatt hours. It's same as twice the energy consumption in our capital city in a year. So these are significant business opportunities for new players, and there will be guarantees for the price. The supplier of renewable energy will get minimum, regardless of the market price will be. This has been done already in many European countries, and it has always led to a situation where foreign companies have come to the economy because of this fixed tariff fee. Information and communication technology. Already spoke a little bit about that. We have to thank Nokia for many things, and it's really been the flagship here. It has brought a lot of foreign direct investment to Finland, the fact that we're having Nokia and the ecosystem around it. We also have to thank Nokia pretty much for the fact that we got out of the recession in the 90s. So there's no reason to underestimate that. Regarding the data transfer and the 3G, 4G situation we are having, we can say that we are at the forefront of the development, alongside Sweden and South Korea are certainly worth mentioning as well. We've invested already 200 million euros to building a 4G network in Finland, but we're still struggling with it. We need to further develop it. Basically, there's lack of devices. We have content for that environment. And if you look at what is the difference with 3G, there's basically, as you probably know, better data transfer possibilities. In 3G, we're talking about, in practice, 1 to 2 megabytes per second. What you are getting in data transfer, and in 4G it will be double from that. There are estimates that you could transfer as much as 100 megabytes per second in specific situations in 4G, and 14 megabytes in 3G. But in practice, the figures are actually somewhat lower. But when you transfer more data per second to your mobile phone or computer, it also, in the same context, you need more battery power, and that seems to be a bottleneck at the moment for development. But if you operate in that environment, Finland definitely offers great opportunity. Here's a specific project opportunity. This company, Ball IT, is looking for a foreign partner to join in terms of ownership with. They focus on real-time wireless sensing solutions for medical industry, consumer section, particularly games, and industrial applications. They have the most precise measurement technique available on the market today, fully patented. And what do I mean with measurement? I mean motion, movement, rotation, pressure, and measuring magnetic fields. And this can be used, like I said, in several applications. If you're interested, I'm happy to talk about this later. In healthcare and life sciences, I will quickly point out 3 key sectors. If we look at the biotech, pharmaceutical sector, we have a lot of companies developing drugs for major diseases in the world today, such as for diabetes, Parkinson's disease, for Alzheimer's, you name it, for various cancers. Those companies are eager to join forces with pretty much with similar firms who have their own drug pipelines on development, and become bigger entities in that way, because then you can more easily stock list these companies. You can attract more international venture capital into these companies if you have more pipelines in them. Alone they can still manage, but are often in difficulty because they are somewhat below critical mass in their volume. In medical devices and technology, this field is as big as you can imagine. I mean, anything from plastic gloves to imaging equipment. So basically, the market is obviously hospitals. We're selling products to hospitals, machines and technology. Over there, what we are seeing is that surprisingly many companies are trying to get to the market by sending somebody over and getting deals done. And what pretty much happens is that they end up wasting time, energy and money. This is a conservative market. People at hospitals, and life is hectic. They are very busy and they have a lot of responsibility. So it's a conservative business. I'm sure the ones of you who operate in that sector, you know that. I don't need to tell you that. But surprisingly many companies try to get to the market that way, and like I said, it usually doesn't give very good results, and that's what we are saying. Local presence pays off in one way or another. I'm not saying that you definitely need to have your own company in Finland for that. It's often the best solution. You can also find a distributor if it works well for you, but those are really the issues to tackle. But then what many companies say, and the same applies with companies who are dealing with Nokia, who first try to get something going, they say, yeah, we can create our own sales company in Finland, but first we need to get some sales so that we can finance it and justify the cost. The problem is they never get the sales because they don't have the office, if you see what I mean. So be careful with that. You take your own choice. But if you get the feeling, as many companies do, that you are this close to getting a deal with hospitals or with some of our bigger companies, but something is missing, and you don't know what it is. It could be the fact that you need somebody there all the time. Healthcare services, I could speak the whole day about this, but I luckily don't have the time. This is, I mean, if anything is certain in the world, the market for healthcare services in Finland, it will be growing for the next few decades. And it's because people live longer, which is a nice thing, but also we are suffering in terms of cost. Why? Because it's also a good thing, we are getting more effective treatments, more effective machinery to treat people, better pharmaceuticals. That's good, but they also cost a lot. And as we have this demographical change going, more and more people in retirement, less people working, we are clearly struggling with this. And we've had to accept that we can't provide good healthcare for the total population anymore just through the public system. So already private companies play a very important part, roughly 20% of the total market, and the trend is clearly upward. I have also specific opportunity related to that. We have a medical center in the capital city area, and the owner is over 70 years old. He wants to retire, and he wants to sell the business and the medical center. They have a few decades history and customer base, which is valuable. So if you're interested, or any of your colleagues are, let me know. Then a very clear industrial opportunity. I'm happy to tell you that we are building a soy processing factory in Finland. The total value of this investment is 100 million euros. It will be built on the southwestern coast of Finland, in the neighborhood of that mill, which will be operational by the end of 2011. There are industrial clients already that can buy the whole capacity if they want. And what's good about this technology, I mean, there are plenty of soya plants in the world, but only 7 plants like this. It is using the very top-notch technology in the world, where, I mean, if you look at a soya bean and process it further, in a soya bean you have 34% protein. But with this technology you can double the protein content when you further process the soya bean to soya concentrate or soya oil. And also the fiber content will be increased from 15% to 20%. So it's really healthy food. And the market situation has been for a long time that there's much more demand for soya-based products than there is offering. And in Europe there are currently only 2 plants operating in this business. There is still an opening to get into this project. The factory is being built, decisions have been all made, but they still would welcome in a partner that would bring in between $10 to $20 million. And joining the project now that it's in its early stages, you would still get a good share of the company. So I'd be happy to put you in touch if you was interested to talk about this in more detail. The investor behind it is Renaissance Group, which has its headquarters in Moscow, an investment bank there. And Soiprom is their fully owned subsidiary company. Finally, the last sector, business services. I've left the best for last, even though I think this has been pretty good already, to be modest. A sector we see growing extremely fast is business services. I mean, for instance, accounting services or bookkeeping services are a good example of that, but there can be anything from security services. Basically, companies focusing only to what their core competence is, and then buying other services from outside. Here you can see that the Netherlands is really the forerunner in this business. 30% of private sector operating in this way, and there is a relation, and no surprise why Netherlands is mentioned, and why Finland is and all Nordic countries are in a positive trend in this respect. It's because the more foreign trade oriented place you are talking about, the more room there is for this kind of services. And when exports, imports go up, also the number of these companies operating goes clearly up. Here you see also the development from a little bit longer time, and we believe this is just the beginning. Finally, in order to close my presentation, also illustrated what services we provide for you. I hope the opportunities I brought you have attracted at least some of your attention. There are many things I couldn't talk about during this time, but I'd be happy to discuss it later. Our key is to help you all the way from the time when you haven't even decided are you going to put an entity in Finland or not. So it's never too early to talk to us in that respect. But we will not be sending you an invoice. Thank you for the question. Why? Is there a free lunch? No. We are getting our reward back, because if we can get your company into Finland, like I said, you will bring some jobs, some capital, and your know-how. Those things are so valuable that we really don't feel we should send you an invoice on top of that. Anything more? People with jobs, they have what you call occupational health coverage, but it doesn't cover everything. In most companies it covers normal doctoral expenses, but if you need to see a dentist, for instance, it's a good example, typically it's not covered. So it's a good example. You can go and get dental care either on the public sector, or you can go to the private sector. The level of services is the same, and pretty much the same people. Even sometimes they work both in a public, and then sometimes they work in a private dental clinic also. The difference is how quickly you want to be treated, and same applies to many operations or cancer treatment or anything. The quality of public healthcare is good, but the problem are the waiting times.
And in terms of costs?
In the private sector you pay yourself the cost, or your employer pays for the cost. In the public sector the payments are either nothing or minimal. Anything more?
Okay,
please.
Thank you for a very nice presentation.
I would like to step back and ask you, you remember you explained where the wages, you said for entrepreneur it costs 1.5 more.
1.25.
Could you explain this difference, what type of taxes,
Yeah.
if you are responsible for it? No, maybe somebody later.
Thank you for the question, sir. Yes, it's well over 90% of that are social security costs. So that's really, in a nutshell, the most important part.
First, I want to thank LIEE that I have the possibility to visit Riga and to make a short introduction to you. As Mrs. Inguna Tsigure already mentioned, so I have worked with Nokia 19 years, with Telia Sonera 19 years, and now I'm working a small company called Eurofacts. It is a family-owned company, and it's very interesting to look the surrounding when you are working in a small company after a big company, because thinking small companies, so it is the hardest business, because you are putting your own money to the business. It is always hardest business. Please remember that. Okay, Eurofacts, let me say so that it is a lobbying company. We are good to open the doors in Finland and in Russia. If you are more keen on the company, so please visit our websites. So, Mrs. Chairman, I want to divide my speech to 5 parts. First, I tell you a little bit of the facts of Finland. What kind of country, in fact, Finland is. Then I want to look at some normal business decisions if you want to come to Finnish markets. So, what are the normal decisions, what you should do? Then my third area is to think a little bit Finnish men and women. What kind of men and women we really are? Please make plenty of questions here. Good men to answer. You can make that kind of questions to Her Excellency too. And of course to Inguna. Inguna is married with a Finnish man, so she knows very good how to work with Finnish people. Then my fourth part, I want to look to the future, to show some prospects, international and domestic prospects. What would be keen or interesting for your purposes? And I believe that looking at those 5 points, so I can take this half an hour. Okay, Finland. Some things thinking Finland. Please remember that if you come to our country, so you can find tough but fair competition there. Quality is very important. Price is very important. But price is not the most important factor. Nowadays, big organizations, when they are making deals, so normally they have some certain formula how they what kind of comparison they make between companies. And very often price, it is about 70%. 30% means quality, staff of the company, what kind of installation possibilities they have. So price is important, but not only. Then Finland is often door for bigger markets. When I worked with Nokia, so Ericsson sold their first public exchanges to Finland. after that to Sweden. Siemens sold their first public exchanges first to Bundespost in Germany and after that to Finland. Because Finland was the door for open markets too. If you have success in Finland, you have good results in other countries too. I can guarantee to you that. Then Finnish people, we are very often quick decision makers compared with the Swedish people. I come to this question a little bit later. But very typical in Finnish business culture is that if needed, Finnish businessmen are very quick when it's a question of decision making. Then what is good when you come to Finland? So you can always use a third language, it's English. It's fair for both parties. I mean that when I worked with the British companies, so I always had the problem because they could use the language of their own. Sometimes Welsh, Scottish, or something like that. But third language is always, it's very fair. And in Finland, as in here in Latvia, thinking business, you can use the third language. It is English. Then Finland and Latvia, we both are the members of the European Union. It means some general rules. And we have very, very good connections to Finland. Your beautiful air company, Air Baltic, it's expanding the roads always, all the time. They have the roads to 7 cities in Finland today, and vice versa. Congratulations. Okay. Then Finland. If you look at the map, you know that the population in Finland is only 5.2 million people. You have here in Latvia about 2.3 or something like that. But thinking square kilometers, Finland is one of the biggest countries in Europe. 338,000 square kilometers. And when you come to Finland, you have to think where your customers are. Because if you look at this map, so Finnish people are mainly living here on the western and southern part of Finland. I don't want to say that eastern part and Lapland is empty. But your business should be here, if you think volume. Please look where your final customers in Finland really are living. Then in Finland, no protection, no corruption, no bribery. Finland is one of the cleanest countries. Then, Swedish-speaking minority. In Finland we have 3 official languages, but you can forget that third language, it's so-called Sami language. It is here on the northeast part of Finland. In the northeast part of Norway, Sweden, Finland and Murmansk area you can find Sami language. You can forget that. But please remember that Swedish language, because if you make documentation, so you have to make a documentation very often in English, Swedish and Finnish language. And then sometimes Finland and southern part of Finland is the northern gateway to St. Petersburg, but I believe that our specialists from Kymenlaakso area, you can have plenty of good things thinking that area. So, Mrs. Chairman, let me go then to the normal business decisions if you are coming to new area such as Finland. Before you start, so stop and think what kind of products you really have and what kind of services you really have. Think. Then, what is your business area there? Then another good question is that why your company is competitive in Finland? Why? What is your strategy? That is the normal question when you go to new markets. Then, what is important to think? Who is your final customer? Thinking your business. Is your final customer some distributor in Finland? Or is it a question of customer's customer? Think your products. Think that who is your final customer for your products. What is your main message to Finnish customers? They want to hear why they want to buy products or services from Latvia. You have to have a story. Nowadays, thinking tight competition, all companies, they must have a story. You have to tell to your customers the story. Why my products are good. Why I'm competitive. Please think that story. Very important thing is that do you need a local partner in Finland? Let me recommend that you start with a local partner. You start with a local partner. It's another thing what kind of decisions you will make when you have got the first, let me say, reactions. I mean that local partner can help you very often thinking type approvals, specifications, and all kind of normal things what you have to do. So let me summarize this phase. Make a local market study. It is a good investment. Okay, then of course, when you have started, put goals. Put really clear goals. Negotiate always a contract in written form. Always. Because that is fair. That in written form it is fair for both parties. In Finland, very often you can rely on words. You can rely on words. But then you accept the risk. Because people, they can change. I mean that today I'm working with one company and tomorrow with another company. So that's why it's fair always to make a contract in written form. Use local experience when you make that contract. Local experience. They know what are the typical Finnish needs for your products. Then exclusive contract. I come back to this question. But please remember, think, is exclusive contract best for you, or maybe it's good to start with a non-exclusive contract. If you have exclusive, put always volume goals and timetables. Sorry to say, I read once a draft. It was a draft of one Latvian company agreement with Finnish company. The Finnish company was a new company. Good, new, small company. And they signed an agreement, exclusive agreement, without any timetable, without any goals. It's not wise. Think if non-exclusive agreement would be best for your purposes. So what is the most important? Take care that your agreement always is at the same level. It must be fair. It can be tight, but it must be at the same level. I mean that sometimes, if you are seller, so you are here. If you are buyer, you are here. And that kind of agreement is not good. it must be at the same level. I hope you understand what I mean. Then that is interesting. When I worked with the British companies, so it took 1 year before they understood that if they had problems, so no, okay, we can solve those problems. When, please, remember to inform. If you have problems with your deliveries, if your delivery time is during next week, and today you are saying that I have some delays, so we have lost the day. But if you inform us 1 month before, 2 months before, or something like that, so maybe your distributor can then agree a new delivery time for its customer. Please remember always to inform beforehand if you have problems. Don't be afraid. It's much, much better that you inform. Don't be afraid of negative information. Ask Finnish customer to visit your office. Say to them, please visit my office. And vice versa, remember to visit Finland. Remember to meet your final customers in Finland. Then you better understand what kind of needs they have. Be active, be market orientated. But remember always that your work will start when you have signed an agreement. Because I have seen so many times that companies, they believe that the main work is the time before they have signed an agreement. That is not the truth. The biggest work is after you have signed an agreement. Okay, then, Mrs. Chairman, Finnish man, woman, typically. What is your first experience? Would you please tell to me? Have you any kind of experience of Finnish men or women? How? Why? Oh, then I have to tell you a little bit, so what kind of people we are. First, I wrote silence. I really wrote silent. That is typical because especially older people as I am. So if you go to the international conference and when the conference is over, maybe you take a glass of wine. If there is a corner, so you can see some Finnish people in the corner, older people. They speak Finnish. They speak Finnish things. They are typically Finnish. They are typically silent people. But that is old people. Unfortunately, our young people, they are much more, let me say, networking people. Good example, a very, very good example. One of the best examples is our Minister of Foreign Affairs, Mr. Alexander Stubb. That is a good example. Young people, they are not anymore silent people in Finland, as we all are. But we are normally we are very well educated. Finnish people, they speak fluently many languages. That is richness, what we have. We have to speak foreign languages. We have the same kind of richness. When you go away, normally you can't use your Latvian language. You have to use foreign languages. You are very rich. You understand? You are really rich, thinking languages. Finnish people, they are more business orientated than drift. They are really business orientated people. Then we are much better in design than marketing. Much better in research, development, design, but rather poor in marketing. Then we have some certain German style of our business culture. It means that if we have agreed that we will start our meeting at 9 o'clock a.m., so we will start at 9 o'clock a.m., not 9:15 or something like that. So we have some certain German culture, but normally we are typically easy to approach. Try to network. Network is nowadays some certain gold for all business. Then you come, when you come to Finland, you are thinking what kind of presentation you have to do. First, in English, of course. Use modern way of present. Know your company. Know first your own company. If you will visit my office, so I can make the question at once that what was your turnover of last year? What about OPEX? What about net profit? Who are your main competitors in Latvia or Lithuania? First, know your own company, some general facts, and who are the owners of your company. And then, of course, collect information from your potential Finnish company beforehand. It's nowadays very easy to look at internet and other possibilities. Then what is important? That is normal mistake in our business too. Don't tell only what kind of company you have today. Or don't tell only the history of your company. That is very typical thinking normal company presentation. So they tell that what kind of company they have had or what kind of company they have today. But your customer is keen on what kind of company you have in the near future. I'm not mean any business securities or something like that. But put power to this. Tell your company, tell your future plans. It helps you thinking your marketing. Tell why your products and services are suitable. It is this question of the story I mentioned. You have to have a story. You have to have a good story. Keep it simple. Keep the presentation simple. Don't come and read from a paper. You start, look. No. Keep it simple. Okay. This is Chairman, 5 minutes, yes. Okay, then some general rules, advices. This is interesting. Think who is the real decision maker. Because in Finland it's rather typical that we have rather deep delegation. Very often it is so that the CEO is not the final decision maker. Not. Thinking your business, maybe it is some certain design engineer, maybe it is some certain purchasing people. So the style of work in Finland is very often based on delegation. If I have given some responsibility to my staff, to some certain department or people there, so I trust to them. If they say that this Latvian company is good for our purposes, so I'm saying that yes, okay, you have selected that. But in Finland it is not always CEO is CEO and you have to say so to CEO. No. Think that who is the final decision maker there. And then understand that Finnish people we believe that we know Baltic countries. That is not true. They don't know what kind of differences, if I take an example, what kind of differences you can find if you compare Latvia to Lithuania. Totally two different countries. Thinking religions, thinking many things. But Finnish people, they have rather poor understanding of of Baltic countries, I mean country by country, because they believe that they are the same kind of countries. Make your homework, of course. And always it's good to study the culture. I don't mean only business culture. Visit opera, discuss with the Finnish people. You have to know something of sport or something of the history. Or it depends a little bit what kind of hobbies you have. But always vice versa. Think the culture. Then, Mr. Chairman, now it's time to go some hot areas. Mr. Vainio already mentioned some good examples, very, very good examples. But let me add some things. I look now to the future. First, I want to take some hot areas in Finland, international hot areas. First, I want to write the Barents Sea area. You have plenty of experience here, what we could utilize on Barents area here. I take one example of Stokmanskaya, oil and gas here. When Russians made the decision that they will delay 3 years when they opened at Stokmanskaya, or 5 years. So many Finnish companies, they thought that, okay, let's forget it once again. Totally bad decision. Because they didn't know that at the same time Russians, they are making huge investments here on Murmansk area, thinking harbor, thinking railways, thinking all kind of buildings there. You have good possibilities if you think this Barents area with the Finnish companies or directly. Then let me take this Baltic Sea. When President Halonen will visit here, as Mrs. Ambassador mentioned at the beginning of June. So let me guess that this Baltic Sea question is on the very high level on her list. Think Baltic Sea, the business possibility. It's a huge business possibility if you want to think it so. New nuclear power stations. The hottest huge political decision just now in Finland during next 2 weeks. How many nuclear power stations in Finland the companies will build? Please remember that as our latest nuclear power station, so the project belongs to the bigger company. If you want to come to nuclear power station to take some certain part there, so you have to discuss and negotiate with that company who has the whole project. But that is huge possibility to you too. Energy, how to save, as Mr. Vainio mentioned. From asphalts to bits. I wanted to write. You think that, oh, what does this mean? This is the biggest project of our Ministry of Traffic and Communications. Of course, we are building roads in Finland. But nowadays, we are not anymore thinking that asphalt. We are thinking the bits. We are thinking the services. We are thinking those people who are using those roads. Because next 5-10 years, the old traffic culture will move. It will be based on the most modern telecommunication services, based on satellite communications. This is a good example of high-tech example, from asphalts to bits. Think here in Latvia, of course, you need some certain road, okay, but during next 5 years, the companies are thinking what kind of services those people need there who are driving there, how to save benzene and so on. Don't play too small game. Then some hot areas, think domestic, as Mr. Vainio mentioned, bioenergy, tourism. Oh, Finland is a beautiful country. We have plenty of space, we have plenty of fresh air, we have plenty of clean water, clean tech, preparation, as Mr. Vainio mentioned, and don't forget the importance of research and development. Then I have been very unpolite because I have looked Finland over. Now thinking this slide, I wrote a little bit thinking Latvia. What kind of possibilities you have thinking your import from Finland to Latvia? Finnish people have not founded Latvia. But that is hot question in Finland. Not only Baltic countries. What about? If you take not only Latvia, you take Belarus. So Finnish companies. Not bad idea. And this is that kind of strategic question between Mediterranean strategy and Baltic Sea strategy. And this is my last slide, Mr. Chairman. Visit www.hansel.fi, because if you look at that, so you can see all projects, all invitations of tenders, what they have, only if you look those web pages. But if you start with the small Finnish companies, I don't want to be unpolite, but we have some problems in Finland too. In Finland you can find about 600 companies where responsible people are in business prohibition. Maybe they have moved to Estonia or some other company and continue their business too. But visit that web page before you start and look that your partner has a clean history. So, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Finland. Thank you.
I step back to your presentation, and for me is I would like to listen your vision to the question what was stressed. Why your company is competitive in Finland? Your vision. Will be Latvian companies competitive in Finland, and your vision in which kind competitive? What is our advantage? You have a lot of information, I hope. You are professional. At the present time, also previous your job. Your advice for us. How to be competitive in Finland? That's one question. And the second question, maybe it will be explained later. You point out that very important, use local Finnish experience when you go negotiate a contract. What does it mean?
Yeah.
Finnish style of contract.
Yeah. First, my answer to your first question is that think that who is your final customer? Because I don't know what kind of business you have. Do you sell your products to your distributor? Is the distributor your customer? Or is your product, what kind of product range you have? Or is it so that you sell your products directly to the final customer? I mean that if you are, if some our supermarket is your customer, so then the supermarket is your customer, but your customer's customer is behind that supermarket. And then you have to find your final customer and think that why, because he or she is not against Latvian products, but why he want to put his or her money to your products. Is it a question of quality? Is it a question of price? Is it a question of brand? What kind of brand you have? How you have market? And then this another question was that once again it depends on what kind of products you have, but very often it's a question of specifications and type approvals. So when you use a Finnish experience, thinking your agreement, so they know very often that what kind of type approvals you need country by country, because we can always say that on EU level you have the same kind of specifications, but that is not the truth. It depends on what kind of products you have. So that's why if you use a good local experience, so you can save time. you can go soon to the markets. Okay. Yes, please. Let me divide the Baltic people so that first Estonians and then people from Latvia and Lithuania. Why I want to take Estonians first? Because the language, Estonian language, is very, very near Finnish language, and very often people who are coming from Estonia, so they are speaking rather fluently Finnish. And that is benefit compared with the people from Latvia or Lithuania. So your question is very, very wide. If I first, please accept, take negative things. So very often you can write from newspaper in Finland that some group from Estonia or Latvia or Lithuania, they have done something which is not accepted in Finland. But then thinking Finnish companies, when they have staff from Baltic countries, so they are very satisfied to that staff. Really, they are good workers. The quality is very, very good. So it depends on how you want to look at that question. But let me say so that plenty of positive things but some negative things too. As you think Finnish people here in Riga, you know plenty of negative things what happens here in Riga thinking Finnish tourists. But maybe you have some positive things too. Before I start, so if you think Finnish companies, so if I first take the union of employers, you are representing employers. So in Finland we have the Federation of Employers called EK. And under that EK you can find some business sectors. But then trade unions of employees, so they have, let me say so that they have more than one strong trade union. They have SAK, they have STTK, they have Akava, and some others too. So it depends on what kind of employees are on the list. Are they normal workers, or are they, let me say, have they studied in some university, or are they from a primary school or something like that? So it varies on what kind of work is in question. And now, how to start this? What is our normal way to work? And this is now slides from SAK. All information is 100% right. But of course, if this Federation of Employers have written the same, so of course the text is not the same. I mean that of course the employers have the style to write in some way, and employees have the right to use some way. But I believe that this SAK is very good. Okay, in Finland, collective agreements in Finland play a significant role in our labor markets. About 75% of employees belong to unions. 75. A great deal of firms belong to employers' unions. Employers and employees unions negotiate on collective agreement, which covers at least all firms which are unionized. This is so-called binding collective agreement. And look then this. If over half of the employees in the sector are covered by these negotiations, the agreement is binding all firms in the sector, no matter if they are not unionized. So this style based on federation of employers and trade unions, I'm speaking of employees, it is very old and normal way to work in Finland. Collective agreements, they are working like a law. Companies, if you are there, companies must act upon them. They determine the minimum employment contract conditions, minimum. Some collective agreements leave a floor for local negotiations. It is possible concerning examples, working time or pay policy. And then the main negotiators are normally the director who takes care of staff in one organization and shop steward. Was it so that, if I remember right, that if the company has 30 people working in a company in Finland or more, so then they have to have a shop steward. But if your company is smaller than 30 employees, so then that company can work without a shop steward. Then in Finland, pay is determined on the basis of the sector-specific collective agreements for nearly 90% of the wage earners. I come back a little bit later, this wage question. Maybe this is the information what I hope that you remember thinking this presentation. I tell you a little bit later what means salary in Finland and what means wage in Finland, because it is a huge difference between Latvia and Finland. But let's come to this question a little bit later. So companies, they are allowed to make a better personal policy than a collective agreement requires, but they can't make the worse one. If you come to Finland, if you form a subsidiary in Finland, so all unions, they tell you exactly what kind of working conditions you have to do. It is in written form. It is easy to find, no problems. It is not security, and it is. Let me say that please, when you start, so accept the rules of the country. And if you use the partner, look that your partner has accepted the general rules too. Because it is wise. It is very, very wise to accept the rules in Finland. The same what Finnish companies have to accept the general rules, what you can find here in Latvia. Okay, now some exact information in Finland. First, weekly working time. It is typically 36 to 40 hours, depending on sector. It's normal that 8 hours per day and 5 days per week. Then overtime, it's possible to accept overtime work, but it is restricted to 250 hours per year, plus 80 hours if they are negotiated on local level. This is binding on collective agreements. It is so-called Working Hours Act. But then there is another rule, and it is per 4 months period. So during the 4 months period, the maximum overtime is 138 hours. So then, of course, you can find that kind of normal information, such as minimum resting periods, night work, Sunday work. Then part-time. It is not so typical in Finland than in many other EU countries. In fact, in Finland, we can find a rather small part of people who are making part-time work. It is increasing now. It is increasing. I have some certain figures there a little bit later. Look at that part-time work a little bit later. And both the employer and employees, they are entitled to pay some, let me say, as annual holiday compensation, and I come a little bit later to these salary wage questions. But both employers and employees have some certain responsibilities, thinking money. Okay, now, today, if you look our labor markets in Finland, so as you can say that 76% of the staff in Finland, they have a permanent full-time job. Or then they have a fixed-term full-time job, which is 9%. Fixed-time full-time job means, its typical example is that I take a new person. Then during the first 3 period are so-called fixed-term full-time job. It's some certain testing, if you accept testing period. You can do it twice. I mean that you can say that the first 3 months, this is a testing period, then we can agree next 3 months, but not anymore. If you want to keep that the person after these 2 periods, so then you must, let me say, update to his contract the permanent full-time job. Okay, then we have some certain permanent part-time job, typically in the shop, for instance, or fixed-term part-time job. This system is working at the same time as I told with this full-time job. So you can see here that if you think fixed-term job total, so it is this and this 13% they have a fixed-time total job, and part-time total job, it is then this and this, means 50%. This is maybe we don't look this too much, but let me take Latvia is here, Finland is here. Maybe you can see there, and here are some certain statistic thinking other countries, but let's please look this Latvia and that Finland, and you can read there at the bottom what those colors means. And biggest difference is of course here possibility to use accumulated hours also for full time, full days off. I give one example to you. Tourism business in Lapland, it depends on season. They have a huge work, let me say, at the beginning of the year, from January to April. But then May is nearly closed. Not because nothing happens, because winter time will end at the end of April. Then May is nearly empty. Then summer season will start between June, maybe September. Then October is nearly empty. Maybe beginning of November is empty before winter season starts. So very often they have agreed. They have used the possibility to agree with the staff that when they make, when they accept some certain amount of extra work, overwork during season time. So then May, October, they have a long holidays there. And the experience what we have got is very good. Then wage level and dispersion in Finland 2008. You can see here some certain wage curves. I come next slide is the difference between salary and wage. So you can see that the average wage was 2,800 euros per month in Finland, and you can see that the curve there per amount of money. So more or less here between 1,600 to 4,000. You say so. Here is the typical kaksonosto. And now this is now maybe the most important slide for your purpose. Okay. Please accept the next example. Let's assume that I am the employer and I have some man or woman working for me, and I have agreed that his or her gross wage is 2,900 euros per month. That is brutto wage. Okay. This is the paper, so that my staff can read that. Okay, my brutto is 2,900 euros per month. Okay, then he or she must first pay tax. In this example, it's 21.7%, but this varies a little bit because state income tax is always the same, but this municipality tax it changes a little bit. But you have to pay some certain tax. And of course, you have to pay these employee contributions. And you can see here what kind of employee contributions you have to pay. You have to pay unemployment insurance contribution. You have to pay pension contributions. You have to pay healthcare contributions. But now I come to this 1.5, multiply by 1.5. If you are employer, so this 2,900 is not the final payment. Now I go to this salary question, because this man or woman means to me nearly 3,700 euros per month. Because I, employer, I have to pay his or her employer contributions too, as my staff have to pay. In Finland it's typical that our employers, they are giving some bonuses to the staff. Bonus principle. You can there, it is private sector industries. You can see here that here are some industry, so-called white-collar employees, as I'm white-collar employee. So I can say the bonus here is, more people here can get some bonuses compared with the blue-collar employees. And how big that bonus normally in Finland is. So here you can find it. It is about this, very, very roughly saying, this 9% or 10%. It means 1 month's extra salary. 1 month's extra salary. So it's typical that in Finland that in fact people, they can get 13 months salary if the company has made a good net profit. Of course, if the results are bad, so they are cutting away all those profits. It depends on the results of the company. It is not that kind of automatic system, this bonus system. No, you have to earn it. And Mrs. Chairman, now this is my last slide. That is rather interesting. This is old, a little bit. I looked at them. Make a comparison between Finland and Poland. First choice. Let's think that you are very young. It's a question of your first choice. What kind of work you would get? What is important to you? In Finland, a safe job without no risk of unemployment. 35%. Look, Germany. Look, UK. What is it? In UK, only 18%. It is not so important if they drop me out compared with other countries. Then a good income. Look how important it has been in Poland compared with Sweden or Finland. Maybe the reason here is that the social system is so good in Sweden that people think that, okay, of course I need money. Money is important, but the surrounding takes care of me. We have good healthcare systems, good hospitals, good insurances. If everything goes to wrong direction, so I have some certain life rate. What you can't find in such countries as in Poland. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, I have spoken now too much. It's time to leave the floor to next speakers. But Mr. Chairman, please organize the next seminar where speakers from our trade unions and the EK will be present. Thank you very much.
Labdien, dāmas un kungi, un paldies par ielūgumu, Lija. And that's almost everything I can at the moment say. Latviski, but I'm studying all the time. I like to start my presentation with a little story. My son, younger boy, came one evening home and stepped in front of parents and said, "By the way, father and mother, I have started dating and I don't know how it will end, what will be the result of this dating." We were quiet and I asked, "Is it a boy or girl?" He said, "It's a girl." So everything seemed to be okay in the beginning. And I think we are here in the same position. We have started, or I hope so, we are started to date between these two countries and might find some business from both sides. And that's my duty as well, to find connections. And not only connections, because today's word is, of course, networks. Build the networks. In my job as an honorary consul, the networks can be from cultural sector, sports and business sector. It is very often so that people who are having still some free time are spending their time in culture, like let's say for instance chorus. You have a long experience in music festivals, choir festivals in here in Latvia, and 2 years ago, 2 weeks before Christmas, I got a call from Latvia, from Biznesa area, and they said, "We have a very good choir here and we like to come to Finland." And it was really a Christmas time, and I had only 2 weeks to organize the visits and the concert places and get the people to listen to them. And why I'm telling this? Among the people who spent their free time in the core are a lot of businessmen who are on the same time searching the networks from the same businesses and the possibilities to build up their businesses in my country, Finland. And opposite, I'm studying from the Latvian people during these visits and find the possibilities for Finns to find business here. For instance, after that visit, I built up a connection between an engineering company here in Riga and an engineering company in my region, and now they are working together a lot regarding the engineering on buildings. We say in Finland that Kymenlaakso is a country's logistics center also. Why is that? It has a long tradition in business, involved in sea and forest industry. That makes us, let's say, the nodal point, but I'll come that later. Well, this is a general presentation, and this has nothing to do with the dating, maybe, except dating in a nice infrastructure is also much more nice than dating somewhere else. We love our lakes and like to keep them clean, and that's one business field, as Pekka told us, and also Atso, it's a rising business field. Where we are located and how big we are, population in Kymenlaakson region, this is not so much, but we are eager, we are active, and we like to study from other countries and build up the connections with you as well. What important you can find in our area a lot of the border stations, which means activity. Enough ports, 2 ports, Kotka and Hamina together. If you count together their traffic volume at the moment, it varies now depending on the economic activities from let's say 12 to 15 million tons load annually, and 1/3 from that material flow is transit. It goes via Finland to CIS countries and Russia as well. I have put some new red dots in the map as well. There are the old Finnish places like Vysotsk, like Primorsk, and now there is a new port, Ust-Luga, Kronstadt port and Bronka plan. This means that the competition in the area is rising all the time also as well. In history, we Finns served earlier quite a lot St. Petersburg, and a lot of Finns got work from Russia. And I think the history is now repeating itself, because we are now getting in the end of this year the rapid rail connection from Helsinki to St. Petersburg, which means in our area from Kouvola to St. Petersburg only 2 hours. Which means a lot of people are traveling from Finland to St. Petersburg, have duties there, and a lot of Russians are traveling to Finland and having their duties in Finland. But we have a lot of opportunities to work with and a lot of strengths to keep them still in force. First of all, I would say the sea, as you have here. I have visited Ventspils, Riga, Liepaja quite a lot, and we have been looking Liepaja for our sister city, for instance, and had these discussions last year with Liepaja people. So the sea is very important. It connects always in the way or another. On the seaside I can find also some hobbies like yachting. I can remember the boats from Latvia during the tall ships race in my hometown some years ago. And Kymenlaakso region is very important also, as I noted, as a transit traffic. If we put together the total traffic in Finland, almost 60% at the moment is running via ports of Kotka and Hamina, which means a lot of activities in that particular field. So now you are thinking what kind of business can be connected to, generally speaking, to maritime business, and having there the shipping business and having there the port business and the full world in transporting, warehousing and so on. And why we still have a lot of work in the ports? Because certain Russian ports are not working well. And the main reason is that they are really crowded at the moment. But as I told, there are some new red dots. There are plans and there are new ports in the Russian side in the bottom of the Gulf of Finland. And the competition will be much more higher in future. What else? Over 40% of our forest products runs out of Finland via ports of Kotka and Hamina. We have the country's biggest rail connection, Kouvola. some people have tried to calculate the value of the total logistic business in Kymenlaakso region, and I have seen figures starting from 26 billion euros up to 30 billion euros. So you can imagine there is space for a lot of different businesses. But also we need research and development and forest industries. Research concentration is still in Kotka and also in Imatra some units. Then I am spreading my wings a little bit farther, because Imatra is part of the southeast Finland, and I am now concentrating to Kymenlaakso region only. But the hinterland itself means that the potential in Finland side is over 1 million people when I start into northeast Finland and finishing the southeast Finland. So that's our potential for, let's say, new business as well, the present business. And the potential neighborhood in St. Petersburg region is over 6 million. So you can see a lot of business between these two countries as well. We have 2 universities of applied sciences, one in Kotka and one in, or I would say one in Kymenlaakso and one in Lappeenranta. We have a technical university in Lappeenranta and some units of Helsinki University in my region as well. For instance, there is a association, Merikotka, in English it's a eagle, sea eagle, and it's a network of the universities and the research centers and institutes who are doing quite a lot of research work among the logistics. So quite a lot of the decisions regarding the forest industry, of the systems they are using, the transportations, and also the routes they are going to use to get their products in the market. Well, I would say our strengths, which are related to business between Finland and Russia, are the transport expertise, ICT expertise, and the value-added services we are doing in the logistics centers of our neighborhood in the ports. And we have tried to study the culture as well from the eastern neighbors, from the southern neighbors, and now I have tried to explain several years that Estonia is not the only country on the southern side of the Gulf of Finland. There are Latvia and there are Lithuania. We should study more. And yesterday, when this team was traveling from Tallinna to Riga, we found also that there is Belarus, which is will be interesting. Okay, now the Kymenlaakso area, so you can see really the concentration of certain industries. Why on left hand side you can see a lot of blue triangles? Why in that particular form? All these industry units are on riverside, River Kymi. And the history behind is that the whole forest business started in the River Kymi. There were sawmills and business people who came mostly from Norway and found that this is an excellent country to start sawmill business. And now, in present time, you can see that the concentration of the forest industry is divided in two sectors, and the west side of Kymenlaakso and east side of Kymenlaakso. The east side in Lappeenranta and Imatra, where are the United Paper Mill units and the Stora Enso of paper and pulp and timber and so on. On port side, we are more and more discussing to put together these two ports, Kotka and Hamina, because we have found the competition in Gulf of Finland, and we have found the competition in Baltic Sea as well. So we want to be a bigger player in that particular business as well. This is very new figures from the strategic status. We studied this early this year, and you can see what is a share of the logistic business in the area. Over 5,000 persons are getting their earnings from the logistics, directly or indirectly. Metal industry, where our following speaker is mostly concentrating, is also a very important section for us. Chemical industry is mostly located in southern Kymenlaakso and Hamina port area. They have several international players in that field, and all these together are using, I would say, over 500 subcontractors who are giving different kind of services for these forest industry companies. Then on left hand side you can see the blue balls, which is maybe the newest and growing. As you see, the travel business is quite big there. And then we have new creative business areas which are at the moment developing, handicrafts and so on. A new innovative service is a little tiny ball which may be only a handful of companies doing their duties in that particular field, which should be one of the biggest in future actually. Construction and real estate business is pretty important for us. These balls came out when our experts asked from us, what do you keep more important now and future? And of course we had the exact answers regarding the employees in this particular field. But from this picture you can see that we believe in certain business sections, and from these sections I think you have also the best opportunities to find your challenges when you are coming to Finland. And I think that was not on wish, that was almost an order that in future you are running to Kymenlaakso region and find your business there, and there we can discuss more detail how to manage in new sections. The truth is, at least with Finns, that we believe still that we can find our own business in our own territory, in our particular town, and we don't travel. But that is not the case today. We are more international, we are traveling around, and we must believe, and you must believe, that the business can be found from somewhere else than from your own backyards. That's not the case at all. I know that, for instance, in my town, we were quite jealous for the Middle Finland people who traveled with their lorries to Kymenlaakso region and sold beautiful furnitures in that area. They found that they can do the things in their own area but sell them somewhere else. So and now we believe that wait a minute, we must travel something else or somewhere else and do our business there. It's not in our own backyard anymore. And that works with you as well, I'm quite sure. Some evidence also how important certain sections like transport, warehousing and ICT are for Kymenlaakso. If we are looking the whole country, Finland, and comparing it to Kymenlaakso region, the GDP is almost double in our area. That's why I say to you that welcome to Kymenlaakso, the Finland's logistic center. Thank you.
I will tell you about metal industry in Kymenlaakso, but I will ask you to remember that we could leave this metal away, because I'm speaking about the developing of the companies, what the companies should do, what we have done, etc. But I have to concentrate on something. So, first, I'm representing developing company in our region called Cursor Oy, and in the picture you see our new office building. Cursor owns this building, and there are located several different companies. Biggest one is Antrits with about 250 employees. And the task of our company is guiding our region to success. Very simple. But it's not really so simple to do it. Yeah, and me, who I am, I'm mechanical engineer, and program manager is my title today. And I'm operating or working with the growth and internationalization of enterprises, also entrepreneurship and enterprise climate, etc. Everything what is needed. And something about our company. We have about 55 employees in our developing company. And we are running about a value of 28 million euros with different kind of projects. These projects are financed by EU or Finnish state or municipalities or the Kymenlaakson liitto, what is this? Regional Council in Kymenlaakso, for example. And our balance sheet is quite big because we have buildings and facilities. We have very many rooms or buildings rent in our region. And some roles, what we are doing. We are advising enterprises, also locating enterprises, existing enterprises. We are running these development programs. We are implementing regional development. We are following the regional strategies. We are quite good in Russian businesses. We have operated into Russian very long time. And for example, if some company from Latvia wants to come to our region, we can help them to find financial solutions to find them where to settle down and so on. And we are doing some not so big investments in companies. When we see that there is some potential in companies, then why don't we help them? And shortly, our business is business. And this is the same slide Mr. Holmberg had already there, but I will point out that metal industry is a very well-being, or how do you say, it's very healthy business in our region. It has faced very many difficulties because there has been closing of paper mills and so on. As you saw in his slide, there is a huge concentration of paper mills, pulp and paper mills in our region, and that's why our metal industry has grown up actually to serve pulp and paper industries. And this is in what our region will or is concentrating. Main thesis, logistics, and also growth in Russian. We see there are opportunities. Advanced technology. We have to develop metal industry, energy, and chemical industry. In the port of Hamina, there's a huge or quite big concentration of chemical enterprises. BASF from Germany, Dove from Holland, or USA originally, and so on. There's also Lukoil oil factory. And versatile services, we are going through all branches with commercial and business and well-being and tourism. And of course digital business and communication business is very important. We have quite good game industry, video games and so on. There are many companies which are making these games, and the markets are huge in the world. The games are always made for global markets. This is a little bit old slide of statistics, but as you see, industry and logistics are quite big in our region, in Kotka-Hamina region. Construction industry, there are some companies, they are making, for example, windows. They make these. They are renovating old houses and so on. They have companies established in Russian too, but this is almost industry with metal is quite important anyway. But our strategic focus, growth and internationalization, that means in both directions. We have big plans with our enterprises that we are going abroad. We'll go to Russia, we will go to anywhere where we can see where are opportunities, for example Latvia. And what we are also very much concentrating on now is renewable energies. I will at the end of my presentation tell you about something about wind power cluster we are building in our region. travel-related businesses, once more logistics, welfare and health services. We have ideas or companies that are operating or doing systems with information technology, so that elderly people who are alone, they could stay at home as long as possible. It's very much nicer to be at home than, for example, in hospital. And ICT solutions, Russian once more. So, metal industry here in our region. There are key players, some big companies. Sulzer Pumps, Finland, has over 500 employees in Kotka. Andritz Limited, very big player in global markets in pulp and paper industry, as well as Metsä Paper Limited. Mesera Limited is the biggest metal workshop in our region. It has factories or workshops all over in Finland, but about 200 of them are in Kotka. And Mesera, I say always that what Mesera does, it can make complete paper machines. And then very many small and middle-sized enterprises. And when we talk in Finland about SMEs, they are smaller than enterprises with 250 employees. But if we calculate that, take 20 biggest SMEs, the average is about 40 employees. They are quite small, but very efficient. And what we are doing there, what the companies are doing. Main customers are in pulp and paper industry, naturally. Energy, other equipment manufacturers, etc. They have been subcontractors actually, but now it has been. They will aim to system deliveries, that they will not only make these such kinds of pieces, but they put systems or different pieces together with electrification and automation and all and try to have bigger components and structures. And we have, for example, these CNC machines in our companies. They are very new. There are not so many machines still left that are older than 8 years. They are very modern machines, and it's one of our strengths, because it gives you productivity and so on. We are operating baking, welding and surface coating, pressure tanks, PAD categories, very high-skilled work. And main materials where we are good, and what is one our main articles is products made of stainless and acid-proof steel, and these aluminium, titanium also. The workforce or the employees, they are very good trained, and quality system in our companies. Almost everyone has got this ISO series system, environmental management system, etc. Because this is needed. This, if a Latvian company wants to come to Finland, it's better to have something like this. It makes the way very much easier. And we have a good educational system for new labor. I will tell you later about the wind turbine factory, and we make them a training system in our ammattikoulu or ammattiopisto, because
vocational school.
Yeah, in our vocational school, and they are now have started the third course to train people there, and they will start working by win-win then. And good networking within companies, because when we are together, we are bigger, we can offer more things. And then things or issues to be developed. This is what we are now doing with companies. And this is what companies, it doesn't depend on in what country the company is, should do also. Networking. You have to offer services related to your products, because there you make money. Maintenance, after-sales services, customer support. And marketing and selling skills. We have asked the companies about their marketing skills, how they do their marketing. And I can say that mostly they don't do any marketing. They are only waiting that old friend of mine comes with an order to me. That's not so. It doesn't. Yeah, you can live, but you can't become rich. And this is what we are concentrating on very much, this marketing. We have to have good materials. Mr. Pekka told us that you should have, when you come to Finland, the materials also in Swedish. Yeah, why not? But at least in English and Finnish helps us also. And what we are is running in technology, specialization. That means that you don't have to do everything by yourself. Concentrate on something and find partners to do the other parts. You can put together that somebody does welding, some does CNC machining, some puts these parts together. That's network, that's cooperation. And you have to increase your productivity. In Finland, the productivity in metal industry has increased in last, I remember, about 10 years, only about 30%. Even though there are more and more efficient machines, it's not so much. And you have to concentrate on your operational quality. And you have to measure your quality so that you can make plans how to develop your production or your operation. And what must be remembered, you have to remember your people. They are doing, your employees, they are doing the work for you. That's very easy when you talk about small companies. The big boss thinks and does and forgets to tell you that I have such kind of plans. If you know it a little bit earlier, you can live with it far more better. Yes, about internationalization, how to go abroad. This is from our plans, how we have planned with our companies to go abroad. This is the same for the Latvian companies. Make networks, find good partners, bigger volumes. Know and plan what you want to be and what you want to do. Little bit same thing as you thought. That means that vision and strategy work. Know what you want to sell. Set targets and focus in them. Same things once more. Little bit with other words, but it only points out as how important these things are. Knowledge of countries and the cultures. Analyze the competitors and markets. And try to find first success story. We had plans that we go to Barents Sea region, to oil and gas, with the companies of our region. But then we sat down and thought a little bit more that it's quite far away, this Barents Sea region. So now we are trying to find first success stories close to border in St. Petersburg region. Or we could cooperate with Latvian companies and find here or together anywhere in the world these success stories. International market. You have to do your homeworks. Best practices, success stories. And finding best practices, it's not enough if you find or you know how this your competitor operates. You should be a little bit better. You have to find something special that your customer orders from you something. And what we can offer you in our region. Confidential cooperation, partnership, high quality manufacturing, we have good know-how. We need international partners. We need international customers. And we need real cooperation, not only that we get one order in once a year, but it should be real cooperation. Contact us. We are, for example, Cursor will help you. And can I have a couple of minutes? Okay. We are planning to be this wind power cluster in this case. We're still now running very well in our region, and here is official target in Finland that we will increase capacity of wind power with 2,000 megawatts. That means about 1,000 wind turbines. And this is old Summa paper mill here, and this will be located like in the picture. And why we are so proud of our wind turbine factories, we are also other success stories in our region. Google is building their data center there in Hamina, in old paper mill. And it will serve Russian markets and Scandinavian markets for Google. EUPEC pipe coatings factory is in Kotka. Employees about 200 people today. Finland has very many excellent wind power enterprises. Wind, Mervento, more to come. I can't tell any names, but there are big plans that in our region they will concentrate more wind turbine manufacturer than only wind. Components, material, business, services. There is a lot of needs in this industry. Yeah, and most dynamic wind power, wind energy cluster in Scandinavia will be located in our region. That's running this work. But we believe that we can make it. We have leading competence. We have critical mass. We have already wind there. We are effective. We have effective supply chains, logistics. World-class players will be located in our region, and it is quite huge, this goal. But the business is also big. And we have done very many actions for wind power. First of all, we got wind there. It was not easy. They had very many other possibilities, other regions to settle down. But anyway, one of the biggest reasons this wind came to our region was that's this education of the new employees, and also that we could offer a good network of subcontractors there. And this is sort of what all is around one wind turbine manufacturer. We need towers, blades, assemblies and components, and logistics. And that is what we are concentrating on. And what else there is? This is last slide. Yeah. You are hungry. We need blades. Blades need glass fiber, etc. We need towers. Towers are made of concrete or metal or hybrid. The lower part is concrete, the upper part is metal. Assemblies and components. There is everything. Production service, wind energy operations, project management, foundations for the wind turbines, they are huge, installations, know-how, researchers, engineers, R&D, very much things. And these actually here could be another word, not only wind turbine manufacturer, something else, car manufacturer, almost same needs are there.
So one question actually, in the spirit of this seminar, would you kindly tell us, well, who are investors in wind? Because that's interesting.
Yeah, the investors. We start the facilities, the factory, the walls. They are, Cursor is one investor, Hamina Energia, and Haminan Kaupunki, the city of Hamina. And wind is owned by Nasdaq from Saudi Arabia and India. Exactly. Yeah, and the small part of the owners in wind are the people working there. And Wind has also started a wind turbine factory for 1 megawatt turbines in India. But in Finland there are many other companies, or they have good plans, and I'm sure there will be other enterprises too making wind turbines.
Man sauc Jūras Grīnvalds un pārstāv firmu Sakret, es komercdirektors. Mēs paši gan īsti nejūtamies vēl tādu, lai būtu tādā eksperta statusā, ka varētu izkarināt vizītkarti kaut kur Somijas tirgus eksperti, ja, bet šā vai tā kaut ko mēs esam mēģinājuši darīt un savu produkciju tur tirgojam kopš 2007. Gada un pa pēdējiem 2 gadiem ir sasniegts tas apgrozījums kaut kur pār miljonus eiro. Varbūt pāris vārdos par uzņēmumu Sakret, lai būtu skaidrs, ko tad mēs darām Somijā. Mēs esam latviešu uzņēmēju firma, tas Latvijas kapitāls, tad mēs strādājam ar frančīzes līgumu. Proti pats brands, vārdiņš Sakret ir no vācu vārdiem saku un konkrīti, maiss un betons, un tādējādi saņemam visas receptes tehnoloģijas no Vācijas centrālā biroja, bet pats brands nāk no Amerikas. Savukārt šīs rūpnīcas, kas mums ir uzceltas Latvijā, Lietuvā un Igaunijā, tās mēs pārvaldam no Rīgas. Līdz ar to mums, ja mēs runājam par eksporta tirgiem, mums bija tāds labs treniņš attiecībā, teiksim, par to, kā būt Somijā, tad var noteikti, ja kāds uzņēmums tā mēģina lēnām sākt un mazāk maksāt pa kļūdām, var sākt ar Igauniju, ja? Tad, tā kā patrenēties bišķīt, jo mentalitāte ir diezgan līdzīga. Tad 2004. Gadā mēs atvērām rūpnīcas Latvijā, 2007. Gadā Igaunijā un 2008. gadā Lietuvā, un tad sākās lielā krīze, vismaz būvniecības skāra visvairāk, un jā, es vēl laikam nepieminēju, tad mēs ražojam būvmateriālus, tā saucamos sausos maisījumus, viss, kas ir, teiksim, būvmateriālu veikalos, ko jūs redzat, kas ir maisos un kas ir uz cementa bāzes, teiksim, apmetumu, flīžu līmes, siltināšanas javas un tā tālāk un tā tālāk. Tas ir tas mūsu produkts, ko mēs tirgojam. Pirms mēs gājām iekšā Somijas tirgo, mums bija tā priekšrocība, ka mēs atrodamies diezgan tuvu priekš mūsu nozares, kaut vai, teiksim, tā būvmateriāla nozara ir tāda, kas nepieļauj lielus attālumus un kaut kā 300-400 km jau ir gana tālu, lai tu varētu nerēķināties ar tiem konkurentiem, kas neražo tajā reģionā. Tad jāsaka tā, ka Somija, Zviedrija ir priekš mums tuvu, un tos konkurentus, ar kuriem mēs sastapāmies Somijā, mēs jau ļoti labi pazinām no Baltijas tirgiem. Tā noteikti ir priekšrocība, jo tu vairāk vai mazāk var paredzēt to, kā rīkojās tas konkurents, vai vismaz kā minimums, kāds ir viņu sortiments, viņu produktu labās, sliktās īpašības, cenu līmeņus un tā tālāk. Kā jau šodien mēs dzirdējām, tā ABC jau nemainās. Tas pamat mājas darbiņš, kas ir visiem jāizdara, jāizpēta tirgus, jāsalīdzina savas kaut kādas vājās, stiprās puses. Tāds elementārais svots jau ir jāuzstājas, ja mēs kaut kur vispār bīdamies ārpusē, pat ja mēs nebīdamies arī esot savā tirgu, tās lietas ir visu laiku jāpārbauda un jāsako viņām līdzi. Kas attiecās uz Somiju, tad tā pirmā lieta, ar ko mums pašiem nācās kaut kā tā ātri samierināties un saprast, ka tur lietas notiek daudz lēnāk nekā pie mums. Tas ir arī praktiski tāds vienīgais galvenais secinājums, ko es varētu tā izvilkt, ja man vienā teikumā jāpasaka. Ja mēs bijām pieraduši tādā lielā tempā pieņemt lēmumus un dragājam tur rūpnīca tur un tagad daram tā, daram šitā, tad citreiz ar Somu partneriem bija, ka mums liekas, ka 2 nedēļas nekas nenotiek, un tur tāds sakaitināts jau bez maz vai zvani, un izrādās viņš saka, ka viņš vajag intensīvi strādā. Ja? Bet pie tā var ātri piešauties, jo vairāk vai mazāk tās lietas notiek un iet uz priekšu, un vienkārši ir jāņem vērā, ka tur tā sazobīta tiem zobratiem kaut kā bišķi savādāk, un kurš ātrāk pielāgojās, tas ir situācijas ieguvējs droši vien. Otra lieta, ko mēs arī ātri iemācījāmies, ir tā, ka Soms pērk no Soma. Ja, teiksim, turpat blakus vēl Zviedrijas tirgus ir tādā ziņā atvērtāks, tad, ja mēs gribam pārdot Somijā, un to jau arī paši Somijam šodien teica, ka ir jāmeklē vietējais cilvēks. Un ir vieglāk runāt ar profesionāļiem. Ja jūs runāsiet ar kaut kādu uzņēmumu, kas ir biznesa struktūra, viņam ir kaut kāda vadība, cilvēki, kas atbild vai neatbild, bet kaut ko dara ar marketingu, iepirkēji, tur jums nebūs nekādas valodas problēmas, viņi runās angliski un jūs komunicēsieties, bet tiklīdz jūs sekosiet šodien izskanējušam padomam, satieciet to savu gala pircēju. Tā es esmu gandrīz droši, ka viņš runās gan tikai somiski un tur tā komunikācija būs, tāda, kāda viņa būs, vēl jau vairāk, ka mums ir jāņem vērā, ka mums tas valsts PR, kas mums nāk līdzi šobrīd, viņš nav diezko labs, ja? Līdz ar to jums katram būs vispirms jāpierāda, ka jūs neesat blēdis un ka tas produkts ir labs un kvalitatīvs, bet tā starta pozīcija tomēr būs drusciņi no tādas pazeminātas platformas. Bet ja ar to rēķinās, tad ir ok, jo komunikācija salīdzinoši vienkārši, nav kaut kādas mākslīgas hierarhijas, nav kaut kādas iedomības, tad ja jūs paši spējat parādīt, ka viss ir kārtībā ar mums kā ar uzņēmumu, kā ar produktu, tad tās attiecības dibinās ļoti viegli un labi, bet tātad, lai nokļūtu tālāk tirgu, jo fiziski, protams, nav laika aiziet pie katra tā gala pircēja un pastāstīt, ka tu jau īstenībā esi tāds foršs čalis un materiāli baigi labē, ja? Tad ir jābūt uz vietas somam, kas to dara un kas komunicē. Arī tā taisnība, kas šodien izskatēja, ka, protams, ka viņiem liekas, ka viņi visu zina pa Baltiju, bet tie priekšstati ļoti bieži ir diezgan, tādi, kādi viņi ir, ja? Bet šajā ziņā varbūt ir kaut kā vairāk nepaveicies mūsu kaimiņiem igauņiem, jo, jūs ziniet, ir tāds viens labs teiciens, kas ir kopīgs visām pasaules tautām. Viņi neieredz savus kaimiņus, ja? Mēs tā paskatāmies anekdotas par reģioniem, tad šajā gadījumā varbūt, ka igauņi ir tuvāk Somijam, un vismaz cik man ir nācies saskarties, tad tas negatīvais PR pat šoreiz ir uz igauņiem vairāk virsū nekā uz mums, ja? Tas mūsu tēls ir labāks. Bet, kā jau es teicu, tas ir tikai tāda pirmā mirkļa impulses, kamēr par jums kā par cilvēku, kā par uzņēmumu nezinu neko, un tiklīdz sākās kaut kāda komunikācija, tā gal galā katrs pats veido to savu tēlu, un kāds viņš ir, tāds viņš ir. Savukārt, kā jau pieminēju, pie tā reakcijas ātruma varbūt ir arī ļoti liela plusi, jo salīdzinot, piemēram, ar klientiem, kaut vai tā pašā Lietuvā, kas mums jau ir dienvidu zeme, un jau tur karstasinīgāki cilvēki, ja? Tad Somijā arī daudz tolerantāk izturēsies pret jūsu kļūdām. Ja jūs esat, teiksim, sadarbības partners un jūs strādājat, un ja kaut kas notiek, tad tur tā pacietība cilvēkiem ir krietni lielāka, jo es atzīšos, mums pašiem ir bijušas situācijas, kur, apstākļu sakritības dēļ tu kaut kādu piegādi esi nokavējis, vai vēl kaut kas ir noticies, un tad es jau tā rēķinos, ka, šeit man to nepiedotu, ja? Tur būtu baigi trakā runāšana ar kaut kādām kompensācijām un vēl kaut ko, tad Somi pret to visu izturās tā daudz mierīgāk, un ja tu vari pamatot, kāpēc tas tā notiek, tad atkal tu vari strādāt tālāk, un viss notiek un iet uz priekšu. Praktiski tas tā, īsos vārdos varbūt arī viss, ja? Kā jūs teicat, mums tā pieredze nav liela, varbūt pēc gadiem 10 es varēšu ar slaidiem un stundu garu prezentāciju somu valodā, ja? Bet, pagaidām, kāda pieredze tāda prezentācija. Jūs redzējāt tās algas apmēram, un mēs izvēlējāmies to modeli, ka mēs sākām caur dīleriem, tad mēs sapratām, ka mums jābūt vienam cilvēkam uz vietas, mēs vienkārši noalgojām vienu cilvēku, kas tur strādāja. Tad mums no tā cilvēka, diemžēl, nācās šķirties, tā kādu brīdi mēs atkal nostrādājām gadu tikai ar dīleriem, starp citu izmantojot mūsu igauņu kolēģis, no kuriem daži runā somiski, ja? Tad tā noteikti arī bija palīdzība, ja kaut kādi tehniskas dabas jautājumi, tad vienmēr mēs varam sazvanīt. Satiksmes starp Tallinu un Helsinkiem ir teicama entās reizes dienā, viņš aizskrien tieši tāpatās, kā mēs, teiksim, uz Valmieru, ja, un atrisina tās problēmas, ja ir radušās kāds būvlaukumā. Bet šobrīd mēs ņēmām cilvēku somu, un šoreiz mēs izmantojam headcounting firmu pakalpojumus, tātad profesionāļi atrod mums cilvēku, jo pašam atrast svešā tirgu ir ļoti grūti, un nav jau, mēs jau principā nemeklējam labu cilvēku, mēs meklējam labu speciālistu. Ja. Līdz ar to, tā arī tā mācība, ko mēs ieguvām, kad vajag ļaut darīt profesionāļiem viņu darbu. Mēs to praktizējam tā, ka mums ir tāda tā kā birža katru rītu. Ir viens cilvēks, kas atbild par loģistiku, viņam ir kontakts ar kaut kādām 10 firmām visā tirgu, pie kam arī, pat cik mums tie uzņēmumi ir Lietuvā un Igaunijā un Rīgā, tad tādi cilvēki ir visās 3 valstīs, un tiklīdz ir kaut kāda krava, un tādas kravas ir dienā, vismaz 10 turpu šurpu starp valstīm un uz turieni, tad katru rītu tas cilvēks izspēlē tādu kā mazu mini-biržu, ja? Viņš uztais tenderīt, viņš jau apmēram zina, kam zvanīt, un tā sadarbība par tām transporta firmām ir tāda, ka praktiski mēs jau zinām, kad viņam būs brīva mašīna, kad nebūs, tas vai dārgāk uz to stūri, tas lēdāk uz to. Tad, kad tās kravas ir daudz, tad ir vieglāk. Ja ir mazāk, tad, ja ir pavisam maz arī ir viegli, pavisam daudz arī ir viegli, pa viduci, tad tur ir jābalans. Tas ir no gadījuma, ja. Man ir labs piemērs, ir viena ļoti liela ķēde, kurā mēs gribam startēt jau 2. gadu. Mēs, teiksim, esam ļoti intensīvi tajās savās, attiecībās un tā tālāk, teju labākie draugi ar to purchasing, iepirkēju menedžeri, ja, bet, tās labās attiecības vēl nekādi nav pārvērtušās pirmajā pasūtījumā, ja. Ir citi kaut kādi gadījumi, ka ļoti ātri tu satiekies, vienojies un praktiski viņš jau ņem kaut kādu pirmo partiju pamēģināt. Ziniet, arī mans kolēģis Andris pavisam nesen presē izteica to frāzi, kad mēs arī esam apsvēruši iet prom no Latvijas, bet tas bija domāts drusciņ citā kontekstā. Ja? Mums atšķirībā no citiem uzņēmumiem šobrīd ir rūpnīcas jau gan Igaunijā, gan Lietuvā, un tīri tehniski mēs varam to ražošanu sadalīt, un būtisks zaudējums tas nebūs no biznesa organizācijas viedokļa. Bet mēs, kā jūs teicu, te ir Latvijas uzņēmēji, kas šo sakrati ir sākuši, un no Latvijas tiek vadīts arī tās rūpnīcas Igaunijā un Lietuvā, un pārdošanas birojas Somijā, un mums vislielākā vēlme ir šeit palikt. Bet kas mūs kā uzņēmumu ļoti sagaitināja, tas bija spontānais valdības lēmums par akcijas nodokli gāzē, kas ir ražošanas līdzeklis, pie kam bez kaut kādiem komentāriem bija, apmēram tā kā mums ar automašīnas nodokļiem, ja, kad likums ir pieņemts, bet neviens nezin, kā viņš darbojās. Viena lieta, ja tas skar kaut kādu privāto patēriņu, daudz sāpīgāk, ja tas skar ražotāju, jo kā ražotājiem mums ir jāprognozē savas izmaksas uz priekšu, ja, mēs kaut ko prognozējam, ko mums tas maksās, kāda būs produkcija, mēs slēdzam tos pašus līgumus, par cenām ļoti bieži mēs slēdzam uz gadu, ja, un ja valsts var vienkārši paziņot, ka pēc 3 mēnešiem, kā sākotnējā versijā, visi maksās akcijas par gāzi, kas ir ražošanas līdzeklis principā, ja, tad kaut kas nav kārtībā, tad mēs droši vien nevaram valstī to budžetu savākt tikai griežot, vajadzētu domāt, kā mēs pelnīsim klāt, bet ja mēs pašā saknē nocērtam to zaru, kas varētu pelnīt, tad kādreiz uznāk rūgtums.
Es jums pastāstīšu, ko mēs darām, lai būtu skaidrs, uz ko būs fokusēta šī pieredze. Mēs ražojam konvejeru sistēmas, dažādas speciāli nozīmes metāla konstrukcijas, un strādājam kā subkontraktori. Tātad mēs nepiegādājam preces tieši galvpasūtītājiem, mēs piegādājam viņas pasūtītājiem, kur tālāk ir jau galvpasūtītājs kaut kur citur. Viņš var būt Eiropā, viņš var būt Āzijā, viņš var būt Austrālijā, Tasmānijas salā, kaut kur pēdējie pasūtījumi uz gājus ar Somiju uz Tasmāniju. Un otra tāda būtiska lieta, kad mēs esam to, ko sauc par order production. Tie ir pasūtījumi, kuri praktiski nekad neatkārtojās, viņi vienmēr ir dažādi, pamatlietas, viņas, protams, paliek tādas pašas, tie ir dažādi veidi konvejeri, bet katrs atsevišķs projekts ir speciāls, un tā tā ir arī mūsu niša un tā ir arī mūsu ideoloģija, kad mēs strādājam tur, kur ir nepieciešama liela pievienotā vērtība, jo, ja jūs strādājat masu produkcijā, jeb lielsēriju produkcijā, parasti jūs savā rūpnīcā vai ražotnē skaitiet minūtes. Ja tā ir tas, ko sauc par order production, tad skaitiet stundās. Un, protams, šī pievienotā vērtība ir nesalīdzinām lielāka, tāpēc, kad ir ieslēgts inženieru darbs, ir ieslēgts augstu kvalificēts strādnieku darbs un tam līdzīgi. Tas īsumā par mums. Attiecībā par Somijas tirgu, pieredze mums ir aptuveni kaut kur sākot no 2000. gada, pietiekoši ilgs laiks. Un ko es varu teikt par Somijas tirgu, par Somijas pasūtītājiem? Pirmā lieta, ko vajadzētu visiem ņemt vērā, kad mēs Somijas pasūtītāji, to mēs vismaz savā tādā segmentā redzam, mēs vienmēr esam un droši vien vienmēr arī būsim numur 2, ja mēs runājam par pasūtījumu izvietošanu. Numur 1 ir Igauņi. Tāpēc, kad Igauņi pirmkārt sāka jau, viņi sāka jau pirms 90. gadiem, viņi skatījās Somu televīziju, viņi bija lietas kursā par to, kas notiek Somijā. Somi brauca uz Tallinu, teiksim tā, atpūsties. Un visa šī tā vide jau Somiem bija diezgan labi pazīstama. Nezinu, cik tas ir pareizi, bet mūsu somu pasūtītāji saka, ka viņiem ir pat izstrādāts speciāls slengs sarunām, kas ir kaut kur pa vidu starp somu valodu un igauņu valodu, pat cik valodas abas no vienas grupas. Varbūt viņas nav tik tuvas kā dāņu un norvēģu, bet katrā gadījumā tāds vidusslengs jau ir izstrādāts. Trešā lieta, kāpēc Igauņi numur 1, viņi tuvāk. Tas ir ar ātro prāmu vasarā, tas ir praktiski stundas laikā no Helsinkiem jūs iet Tallinā jau. Un vēl jāņem vērā viena tāda specifika, ko mēs zinām savā tirgū, kad ja mēs sākām tieši par metāla apstrādi, ja mēs sākām aptuveni tā, kad mums bija ļoti daudz lielas rūpnīcas, kas strādāja galvenokārt uz bijušo Padomju Savienību, uz austrumiem, un pēc tam mēs mēģinājām visas tās rūpnīcas pagriezt uz rietumu pusi. Tad Igaunijā viņiem šo lielo ražotni bija krietni mazāk, un viņi sāka, gribētu teikt, daudz vairāk no baltas lapas. Un ja jums ir balta lapa, tad jums vienmēr ir iespēja izvēlēties, kur te mēs ejam. Protams, ka 90. gados, kā jūs domājat, kur Igauņi varēja iet? Protams, kad uz Somiju. Jā, un tāpat, kur Somi, tas pirmais, kur viņi atnāca, protams, uz Igauniju. To es visu jums stāstu atkāpu tāpēc, lai saprastu, kad, ja kāds iet uz šo tirgu, un ja ir kaut kas līdzīgs Igaunijā, tad ņemiet vērā, kad konkurences apstākļi būs ļoti, ļoti smagi. Un jums būs jāizdara kaut kas labāk nekā Igauniem. Bet tomēr, ja mēs runājam par Somu pasūtītājiem, to, ko es varu teikt par savu segmentu, viņi visi ir ļoti profesionāli. Attiecībā pa valodu praktiski visi Somi pietiekoši labi runā angliski. Ir viena tāda nianse, kas jāņem vērā, ja jūs strādājat ar dokumentāciju no Somu uzņēmumiem, kad jūs ļoti bieži redzēsiet Somu valodu. Un pat ļoti daudzos rasījumos tikai Somu valodu. Tas ir atkal plus Igauņiem, kurš saprot labāk, bet tas nav pasaules gals. Jā. Jūs vienmēr varat uzprasīt, un tas tiks pieņemts ar ļoti lielu sapratni, kas ir tas, un tad jau pēc kāda laika jūs sapratīsiet. Jo Somi paši saka, kad šī te Somu valodas barjera pat cik viņi ļoti daudz izvieto ārpusē pasūtījumus gan Igaunijā, Latvijā, Lietuvā, Polijā, viņi pat iet tālāk uz Čehiju, Slovākiju. Viņiem ir tā problēma, kad viņiem šī dokumentācija ir somu valodā. Viņi ļoti cenšas lēnā garā to novest jau līdz angļu valodai. Ja mēs salīdzinām tirgus, teiksim, pēc, vismaz manā segmentā, ja mēs salīdzinām tirgus pēc cenu līmeņa, tad ņemiet vērā, kad Somi jūs nospiedīs vienmēr zemāk cenā nekā kaut vai vācieši. Jo Somi ļoti ir fokusēti un viņi ilgi jau strādā šo subkontrakta pasūtījumu izvietošanu, ļoti maz un tādas īpaši grūtas lietas, īpaši sarežģītas lietas taisa pie sevis un visu pārējo viņi dod ārā. Viņi nemēģina kaut ko ražot pie sevis. Viņi visu pēc iespējas vairāk dod uz Baltijas valstīm. Un tāpēc viņi, teiksim, profesionāli ziņā pasūtījumu izvietošanas ziņā ir ļoti profesionāli. Ja jums kādreiz tur gadās strādāt ar Angliju vai gadās strādāt ar Vāciju, tad Vācijā jūs redzēsiet milzīgus papīra kalnus, kur ir jāizpilda vienkārši formālas formas un kuras ir jābūt pēc tāda un tāda dīna uzrakstītām un pakošanas dokumentiem ir jābūt ļoti, ļoti sarežģītiem, ja, kas gala rezultātā, ja jūs salīdziniet to pašu produktu, ko jūs sūtīt uz Somiju, ko jūs sūtīt uz Vāciju, jūs redzēt, ka vācieši prasa, it kā bišķi pa daudz, ja, to tīri, to formālo pusi. Somi ir perfekti nolikuši šo te savu dokumentāciju, kas viņiem ir nepieciešams, pilnīgi tādā līmenī, kas ir pietiekams, bet nepārspīlēts. Somi jums tur neprasīs 101 atskaits un tā tālāk. Viņi prasīs tieši to, kas ir vajadzīgs. Tieši to, kas ir nepieciešams konkrētam pasūtījumam. Komunikācijā Somi ir pietiekoši atvērti. Jūs variet droši, ja jums ir pirmie kontakti kaut vai caur e-mail. Tas ir, protams, atkarībā kādi pozīcija pasūtītājiem un kādi pozīcija jūs savā kompānijā, jā. Bet kaut kur pēc 2., 3. e-mail jūs mierīgi variet saukt vārdā cilvēkus, īpaši pēc telefona sarunas, jūs mierīgi viņu sauciet vārdā, variet aizmirst pa uzvārdu. Tas ir tā kā arī mums Jānis, viņiem tur Jarmo, Juha. Protams, tas ir jāņem vērā, bet variet uzrunāt viņas vārdos, tas tiek pilnīgi akceptēts un nav nekāda problēma. Tāpat tīri, ja jūs brauciet uz Somiju, ja jūs gribiet apmeklēt kādu kompāniju, variet pilnīgi mierīgi palūgt, lūdzu norezervēt man viesnīcu, lūdzu informēt, kā man labāk aizbraukt, lūdzu tur palīdziet man tur. Viss tiks uztverts ar pilnīgi sapratni, un tas netiks uzskatīts par kaut ko īpašu vai kaut kādu tur milzīgu pretimnākšanu. Ja. Tas viss ir lietu kārtībā un viss ir pilnīgi normāli. Ja Somi brauc uz šeieni, protams, tas biznesa komplekts ir tāds, kāds viņš vienmēr ir. Tas ir jums jārēķinās, ja cilvēki atbrauc pie jums ar rīta reisu, jā, jūs tur runājat ar viņu rūpnīcā vai savā ofisā, jā, tad cilvēkam kaut kur 2-3 sāk gribēties ēst. Tas ir normāli, jā, un tad tā ēšana jums jāorganizē, jā. Attiecībā uz dažādiem to, ko mēs jau saucam par tādu rautu līmeni, kad tur vakarā tur iet uz lieliem restorāniem un tā tālāk. Tas arī atkarīgs, teiksim, no jūsu, teiksim, rocības, iespējām un tā tālāk. Tas netiks, ja jūs tur neaiziesiet vakarā un nenosēdēsiet līdz vēlai naktī ar viņiem kaut kādā augst līmeņa. Tas netiks uzskatīts, kad jūs kaut kādu mīnusiņu jums tur ievilks. Nē, tas tiks uzskatīts lietu kārtībā. Varējām, ļoti labi, viss tiks uztverts adekvāti, neiznāca, bijāt aizņemti, ja viņi bija aizņemti, nākošreiz. attiecībā arī tāda nianse par vizītēm. Somi ļoti taupa laiku. Bet cik satiksme ar Rīgu no Somijas ir ļoti laba. Tieši lidmašīnas satiksme gan Air Baltica, gan Finnair. Viņi vienmēr cenšas tā atlidot no rīta, reiz kaut kur 10, kaut kur 9:50, 10 ienākošie reizi. Un vakarā kaut kur ap 6 viņi ļoti bieži brauc projām. Tas jums ir vienmēr jāņem vērā, kad nemēģiniet viņus, ja viņi tā tīri nesaka, ka jā, tur mēs paliksim pa nakti, tur viņiem teikt, nē, tad jūs paliciet pa nakti, un tad otrā rītā, un tad vēl kaut kur. Viņi ļoti šo te situāciju uzsver tā vienkārši un saka, ne, mēs no rīta atlidojam un vakarā lidojam prom. Jums ir jāsaplāno tā diena tā, lai viņi būtu pilnīgi tādi piepildīti, jā, ja jūs variet, teiksim, jūs redziet, ka jūs ar 2, 3 tur beidziet, un ziniet, ka tie cilvēki ir pirmo reizi šeit, protams, kad vajadzētu, labi, tad mēs varam jums, teiksim, aizvest uz lidostu, bet, iziesim cauri Vecpilsētas centram. Tas vienmēr tiks ļoti, ļoti augsts novērtēts, jo Somi ir tādi, viņiem gribās paskatīties pilsēt, kā tad ir Rīga un tā tālāk un tā tālāk. Tas noteikti, ja viņi pirmo reizi, ja viņi bijuši vairākas reizes, tad jau skatieties paši, kā jums tur iznāk. Pa cenu līmeni es jau teicu, Somi ir iemācījušies pirkt lēti. Somi ir iemācījušies. Un jums vienmēr jātur vērā, ja jūs ziniet, kad jums ir konkurenti Igaunijā, jātur vērā. Ja Somi jums, teiksim, pasaka, jūs tur strīdīties par cenu, pasaka, nē, tad mēs neņemsim, jā. Manā praksē nav bijis tāda gadījuma, kad vispirms pasakam, nē, tad labi, jūs esiet par dārgu, nākošreiz, jā. Un kad pēc kāda laika atgriežas atpakaļ, nē, tad mēs tomēr pie jums. Viņi savu marku iztur. Ja viņi saka, ka tas ir dārgi, tad viņiem ir vai alternatīvs cenu piedāvājums vai kaut kas, un tad ņemiet vērā, kad jums jāizdara secinājumi, ka tas ir par dārgu, un tas tiešām ir par dārgu, jā, jo tas pasūtījums vienkārši aiziet. Manā praksē vismaz nav bijis atvainojiet, mums tur kaut kas nesanāca. Jā, ir kādreiz tā, kad, teiksim, pirmreizējās sarunās pasaka, labi, mēs izvietosim kaut kur citur, tur piegādes laiks, tur piegādes izmaksas un tā tālāk. Pēc tam pasaka, nē, tur mums neiznāc pēc laikiem, jā, bet tas nav tā, kad mēs sākam runāt konkrēti par cenu. Sākumā, jā, vai jūs nevariet tomēr paņemt to un to. Tā gadās. Bet tad, kad aiziet līdz konkrētai cenai, pa konkrētu izstrādājumu, un jums konkrēti pasaka, ka viss ir labi, jā, bet jūs esiet par dārgu, tad jūs tiešām esiet par dārgu. Un jums ir jāizdara secinājumi par savu darbu rāžīgumu, darba organizāciju, par materiāliem, nezinu vēl par ko, jā. Bet tad tas ir jāsaprot. Ko es vēl jums varu ieteikt attiecībā uz Somijas tirgu? Vizītu organizēšana, viss ir ļoti vienkārši, ļoti pretīm nākoši. Tas ir, kā katrs to dara, tās ir cits jautājums. Mēs, teiksim, pēdējā laikā esam tā atstrādājuši tādu situāciju, kad mēs arī no rīta aizlidojam, ņemam, īrējam mašīnu Helsinku lidostā, izbraukājam pa dienu, kur mēs izbraukājam, ja mēs paspējam, ja tas nav kaut kur Porī, ja kaut kur tajā galā, un vakarā braucam atpakaļ. Un tas ir ļoti tā reāli, teiksim, tādā austrumu pusi Somijā, ja jums nav jābrauc tālu uz ziemeļiem, tālu uz rietumiem, tas viss ir normāli. Somi ļoti konkrēti, ņemiet vērā, ja jums ir, teiksim, jūs aizbrauciet uz kompāniju, jums ir biznesa sarunas, jūs runājat, un vienā brīdī, jūtiet, viss ir izrunāts. Tad necentieties to sarunu kaut kur vilkt garumā, jo cilvēki arī ir, kas nodarbojas ar šīm lietām pietiekoši noslogot, jūs jūtiet, ka jā, viss cauri, vairāk tā īsti, kur runāt nav, par labu laiku un tā tālāk, tas tiek pateikts jau visu kaut kur sākumā, nevelciet sarunu garumā. Jūtiet, jā, viss izrunāts, labi, paldies, sveiki, uz redzēšanos. Nu, nevajag taisīt to sarunu garāku, jā, pārāk garu. Labāk tad brauciet uz lidos, staigājiet pa lidos, brauciet uz Helsinkiem, vēl kaut ko dariet, bet necentieties viņu. Soma, protams, jums teiks, tur tā, nu varbūt tur aiziesim pāris, tikai ne no jūsu puses, jā. No Soma puses, jā, ok, bet ne no jūsu puses. No jūsu puses jābūt ļoti konkrēti. Viss izrunāts, sveiki, braucam. Nedomājiet par to, cikos man tur lidmašīna. Teiksim, protams, ka kādreiz, kad tur ir cieši konteksts, var uzspriest, cikos ir, jums nav ko darīt, varbūt tad tur, bet ņemiet vērā, cilvēki ir aizņemti. Tas ir tāds lielos vilcienos, tas, ko es jums varēju pastāstīt. Ja jums ir kādi jautājumi, jeb kaut ko gribiet sīkāk uzzināt, vienmēr laipni lūdzu.
Kā jūs pirmā kontakta?
Ir vairākas iespējas. Var palēlīt Latvijas Investīcija un attīstības aģentūra. Bija mums, es uzskatu, lielisks projekts, kur tika pieslēgta kompānijā Baltic Gateway, man liekas, jā, Gateway Baltic. Un bija izdarīts sekojošais. Bija kompānijas iedeva savus profilus, ko viņi meklē, kā viņi meklē, ko viņi grib atrast. Gateway Baltic visās Somijas kompānijās izstāstīja tādu priekšatlasi, iedeva tos kontaktus, kurus viņi atrada, un sarunāja tikšanās. Un tad to, ko darīju jau es, vienkārši aizlidoju uz Helsinkiem, sēdos mašīnā, ņēmu GPS un pa visām tām kompānijām izbraucu cauri un sāku runāt konkrēti. Tas ir viens no tādiem, es uzskatu, ļoti labiem veidiem, kā vispār kaut ko darīt. Tas ir, tad jūs ietaupiet savu naudu, ietaupiet savu laiku, un jūs jau iet uz tām kompānijām, kurām ir kaut kāda interese. Jo normāli tā, kad ja jūs apzvaniet, teiksim, 10 kompānijas, kurām, pēc mājaslapām, pēc visu, varētu būt, jā. Tad, ja jums izšauj 2, kas saka, jā, mēs būtu tā kā gatavi, jā, tad tas ir ļoti labs rezultāts. Ņemiet pēc tam no tām 2, jūs, teiksim, 3-4 mēnešu laikā dabūjāt, teiksim, no vienas pasūtījuma. Tas ir tā. Tāpēc tas pirmais darbs ir tāds ļoti, ļoti sarežģīts. Jo ņemiet vērā vēl vienu lietu. Sākot no 99. līdz kaut kādam 2003. 2004. gadam. Somijas kompānijas un visas kompānijas Rietumē Eiropā skraidīja apkārt un meklē, kur mēs to varam ražot lētāk. Tagad situācija ir apgriezusies otrādi. Vairs neviens apkārt neskraida. Somijas kompānijas, ļoti daudz Somijas kompānijas, kas arī jums jāņem vērā, ir atvēruši savas meitas kompānijas Igaunijā. Un tur tā interese ir vēl vairāk nokritusies. Jā? Tā kā tagad ir jāmeklē pašiem. Jābrauc, es nezinu, tas ir subkontrakting, varbūt šeit sēž arī cilvēki, kas ir no citām jomām, bet tas ir Tampers izstāde, kad mēs runājam par metālu, par subkontrakting. Brauciet uz Tampers izstādi. Nezinu, teiksim, mašīnbūvs asociācija vienmēr ir stends. Meklējies caur izstādēm. Tāpat tie cilvēki staigā apkārt. Jo Somi vienmēr, kas ir svarīgi, viņi nekad neapstājās pie sasniegtā. Jūs būsiet lielisks piegādātājs. Viss būs labi. Bet neceriet, ka Somi sēdēs uz lauriem un neko nedarīs. Nē, viņi brauks uz izstādēm, viņi meklēs, viņi braukās apkārt, vienkārši taisīs biznesa tūrus. Viņi nepārtraukti meklē. Viņi meklē Polijā, Slovākijā, visur. Protams, Latviju tuvāk. Jā. Meklēt arī pašā Igaunijā. Tā kā praktiski viena lieta, ko es jums varu ieteikt, izstādes, otra lieta, caur attīstības aģentūru, bez attīstības aģentūras, tā ir man pieredze, jūs paši variet to melno darbu rakt, jā. Bet, tādas kompānijas kā Gateway Baltic, tas varētu būt risinājums. Tas jums aiztaupīs to rakšanu. Ja jums ir laiks, variet rakst paši, bet ir jāmeklē, pašreiz pie jums ret, kurš nāks. Un atcerieties vēl vienu lietu, ko es jums varu pateikt. Ja jūs atrodiet kompāniju, kura, precīzi, jūs, viss, ka jā, varētu būt pasūtījums, ja tirgus viņš vienalga. Atcerieties, kad, ja cilvēki tajā galā pasūtītāji ir pieņēmuši lēmumu, kad jā, mēs tagad ejam tās vietas pasūtam kaut kur citur. Baltijā, Austrumēropā, vienalga, kur Ķīnā. Tad, kad viņi to lēmumu pieņēmuši, tad jūsu pūles nesīs augļus. Ja produkts ir lielisks, profils ir lielisks, visu kompāniju der, ja viņi nav pieņēmuši to lēmumu, tad tas būs vienu otru mocīšana. Jūs teiksiet, bet redziet, mēs taču varam. Viņi teiks, jā, jūs it kā deriet, bet ziniet, vēl pagaidām nē, un nesakiet uzreiz, ka nē, mēs vispār negribam. Varbūt vēlāk, varbūt kaut kad. Tas grauds jau iekritīs, jā, tikai nav skaidrs, kad viņš uzdīgs. Tāpēc ir jāsaprot, ka ja kompānija ir pieņēmusi lēmumu, tad būs atbilde un tad būs jautājums. Cena, piegādes laiki, jūs profesionālitāte, ko jūs varat, ko jūs nevarat darīt un tā tālāk. Ja lēmums nav pieņemts, tad tas grauds tiks iemests, bet viņš dīgs krietni vēlāk. Tad lūdzu. Vai pa daudz, vai pa maz?
Man tomēr vēl ir. Jā. Jūs teicāt, ar GPS braucāt, tad tas ir tas variants, ka jūs braucāt vienkārši uz tām vietām, iepriekš nepiesakoties, kur jūs negaidīja, vai kā?
Ne. Tas, kad jūs brauciet uz kādu vietu, pirms tam mājas darbi jāpadara. Nekādā gadījumā, jā, tas jau bija sarunās, nekādā gadījumā nedrīkst braukt tā, jā. Nekādā gadījumā, tas ir galīgi garām. Jūs kādreiz aizbrauciet uz to vietu, jums ir, tas nav uz vietas, šitais nav uz vietas. Reti, bet tas gadās. Mājas darbam jābūt izpildītam. Apmaiņai, telefons sarunai, apmaiņai ar e-mailiem, laika saskaņošanai un tā tā. Obligāti, jo citādi jūs varat aizbraukt, tad jūs pat kaut ko būsiet parunājis, kad it kā labi, jā, un jūs aizbraukt, jā, es esmu, bet tas cilvēks ir saslims, ja viņš nav uz vietas. Ja. Lūdzu. Labi. Attīstības aģentūra zina manas koordinācijas, ja kādam kaut kas speciāli vienmēr laipni.
Man sauc Linda Irgensona, kā jau minēju, un esmu marketinga vadītāja uzņēmumā un meklēju arī jaunos partnerus ārzemēs. Qcotton.com tā ir kvadrapaka preču zīme, tirdzniecības zīme, kas ir ieviesta tikai pērn sākumā, un arī viens no iemesliem ir starptautisko tirgu iekrošana. Viņš šim, kvadrapaka tā neko īsti neizteica, arī tie kvadra latviešu burti, tas Q vairāk atbilst. Mazliet par mūsu vīziju, tad mēs esam vidēji lieluma stabils un respektabls uzņēmums un kartona iepakojuma ražotājs Eiropā. Un esam drošs un profesionāls sadarbības partneris, piedāvājam drošu produktu saviem klientiem, iepakojumu funkcionalitāti, konkurēt spējīgu cenu un ražošanas stabilitāti. Mēs savu produkciju saražojam termiņos, piegādājam laikus. Un mūsu mērķi klients, mēs esam noteikuši, ir aptuveni, tas vairāk no loģistikas izmaksu viedokļa ir 1500 km radiusā. Bet jāatzīst, ka mēs eksportējam pat tik tālu kā Kazahstāna. Tas tā kā atkarīgs, protams, ir no izmaksām arī, no konkurētspējas, no visām. No šādiem faktoriem. Es domāju, uz tiem mērķiem var arī pārlikt tālāk, bet jāatzīst, ka mēs vēl ceram drīzumā tuvākajos gados tik tālu attīstīt eksportu, ka būs, kad varēsim nobeigt savu jauno ražošanas ēku. Bet mūsu mērķi tirgi, tad es te īsumā arī par uzņēmumu šo te attīstību. 93. gadā mēs esam dibināti, mums ir pārstāvniecība Ukrainā, mums ir arī pārdošanas aģenti Polijā, Skandināvijā, konkrēti Zviedrijā un arī, kas atbild par Somiju un Tallinā. Mēs esam certificēti, certifikāts nepieciešams, protams, ir īpaši strādājot ar ārvalstu klientiem. Esam biedri Zaļajā punktā, EN, Latvija, un esam ieguvuši ļoti daudz dažādus apbalvojumus, gan vietējā, gan šī starptautiskā līmenī. World Star Award ir augstākais iespējamais apbalvojums, ko iegūst iepakojuma nozarē, un to piešķira Pasaules iepakojuma asociācija. Un šis ir darbs, par ko mēs dabūjām balvu tikko. Pasniegt šī apbalvojums tikai maijā, un tas ir par fāzeru, kas ir ļoti svarīgi arī dodoties eksporta tirgu. Ja jums ir kāda reference, ir labs klients, kuru rādīt priekšā, stādīt, tas arī ir zināms veiksmes faktors un garantija. To potenciāli klienti noteikti ņem vērā. Un Fāzer ir viens no mūsu lielākajiem klientiem Somijā. Un es mazliet sīkāk pastāstīšu par sadarbību ar Fāzeru. Kur mēs atrodamies? Mēs atrodamies Rīgā, gandrīz pašā centrā. Tur atrodas arī vienības gada 11, kur ir gan mūsu ražotne, gan administratīvais korpus. Mazliet sīkāk par mums. Mums ir 120 darbinieki. Šogad tikpat, cik pagājuši gadu. Kartons 3,5 tūkstoši tonu un apgrozījums 6,5 bija pērn, ko ietekmē gan devalvācija Ukrainā un Krievijā. Šīs tirgus tieši tajās valstīs samazinājās, bet citur ir diezgan stabili, mēs turamies un arī pieaugam. Šeit redzam dinamiku apgrozījumā. Tad mēs esam aptuveni 10 miljonu eiro apgrozījums, ko mēs ceram sasniegt arī tuvākajos gados. Produkts, kā jau minēju, ir kartona iepakojums. Mēs ražojam kartona iepakojumu dažādiem pārtikas un nepārtikas uzņēmumiem. Galvenie mūsu mērķi klienti ir šie lielie ražotāji, kam ir tāds diezgan liels un stabils iepakojuma patēriņš. Tāpēc mums diezgan viegli ir arī noteikt savu mērķi klientu. Tas ir ļoti jāņem vērā. Tad droši vien stāstīja no teorētiskā viedokļa, vairāk rīta pusēs nebija uz semināru pirmo daļu. Kas ir šī sagatavošanās? Pirms jūs sākat darbu konkrētā tirgu, jums jāsagatavojas. Jāzina, kas ir jūsu mērķa klients, jāizvērās savas konkrēšās priekšrocības, tā tālāk. Šis ir sadalījums pa produktu grupām. Mēs esam vairāk specializējamies tieši iepakojumā ar pievienoto vērtību. Ir gan folija, gan kongrēvs, gan lodziņi un dažādas tādas tehniskās nianses. Un konditorija ir tieši tā nozara, kur ir iepakojums tieši ar šādām prasībām. Tur ir dažādi. Mēs esam rūpniecības precēs, mums ir pusfabrikāti, piena produkti, kosmētikā, farmācijā, kas ir ļoti prasīga nozare. Mēs nodrukāt varam praktiski jebko, kas tādā ziņā mēs ar konkrētiem esam līdzīgās pozīcijās. Šeit ir mūsu tirgi. Kā jūs redzat, mēs esam uz eksportu orientēts uzņēmums. Vairāk kā 60% mēs eksportējam. Un Somija ir otrs lielākais eksporta tirgus aiz Lietuvas. Tad, mums vēl ir arī uz Poliju, Ukrainu, Krieviju, tagad arī ir Zviedrija un Norvēģija. Tad tā koncentrācija mums vairāk ir uz Skandināviju un Ziemeļvalstī, Somija arī. Tieši par Somiju. Tad mūsu lielākais klients ir Fāzer Confectionery. Mēs ražojam vairāk nekā 50% no viņu iepakojuma. Produkcija pieejama arī visos tax-free lidostās, tax-free veikalos. Ko es arī piekrītu iepriekš runātājiem, arī Grīnvalda kungam par to, ka ir jābūt ļoti pacietīgiem. Jūs arī jautājāt, cik ilgi ir šis process. Es jums varu teikt, ar Fāzeru bija 2 gadi, lai sasniegtu no pārunu uzsākšanas līdz reālam pasūtījumam, tad ir 2 gadi jāgaida. Tas ir ļoti ilgi. Un tā ir arī realitāte. Tagad mums ir arī iegūti jauni klienti Somijā, un tas prasīja gadu. Pat, lai sarunātu tikšanos, citreiz paiet pusgads. Bet tas ir tiešām ļoti atkarīgs no šīs nozares specifikas. Ja jūs gribat droši vien uz mūsu klients, tātad šie iepircēji, lielie ražotāji, un viņiem bieži vien ir tenderi. Tenderi viņiem ir tad noslēgti sadarbības līgums 2 gadiem. Jums jāgaida, kad beigsies tas līgums, un viņi izsludinās jaunu šo konkursu, tenderu, tikai tad jūs varat startēt. Un tā kā tas ir ļoti, ļoti specifiski un jāskatās no tā. Bet var arī palaimēties, un jūs ietrāpat tieši tajā laikā, kad viņiem ir nepieciešami ir kādi jauni projekti, un viņiem tas ir tieši vajadzīgs. Tad eksporta kāpums uz Somiju. Eksports mums ir audzis. Ja mēs sākam 4. gadā, tad 5. bija 3,9 no kopējā portfeļa, tagad ir 12,6. Arī 8. gadā, kad bija šis te lielais apgrozījums, arī bija 12,9% no apgrozījuma. Tagad tieši pēdējos gados mēs esam koncentrējušies uz Ziemeļvalstu tirgu iekarošanu, un tad to mēs darām dažādi. Tur gan piedalāmies starptautiskās izstādēs, mēs sadarbojamies ar LIA pārstāvniecībām. Līdz šim LIA pārstāvniecība Somijā nebija, ir tagad pārstāvi, bet tad mēs sadarbojamies ar Latvijas vēstniecību Somijā. Tad mēs izmantojam arī Gateway Baltica projektu, kur palīdzēja mums piesaistīt klientus Somijā. Bet ja jums nav līdzekļi outsourcēt kādu un pirkt kā pakalpojumu, protams, tad pašiem ir vajag pacietību, jo tas tiešām aizņem laiku, lai sazināties. Viņi saka, kad ļoti bieži, kad zvana, saka, es esmu ļoti aizņemts un liekas, ka nevar īsti saprast, vai tā ir vai nav, bet viņa varbūt aizņemtība ir mazliet savādāk, tā izpratne par mūsu, bet tur ir tiešām vajag būt pacietīgiem un zvanīt un būt uzstājīgiem. Dažreiz Latvijas ir tāds pieticīgs un viņam ir nēti, bet es jums saku, no pieredzes nevajag būt klaji nepieklājīgam, bet jūs varat arī zvanīt un atgādināt, jo viņi tiešām var būt aizņemtība, viņiem ir, un viņiem vajag laiku, lai izskatītu jūs piedāvājumu un sagatavot atbildi. Tā, tad ko vēl mēs ir ievies šī te jaunā tirzniecības zīme, kas arī ir tā atpazīstamība jau iegūta, arī tāpēc, kad izstādēs tiek viņa promotēta un dažādos starptautiskos katalogos mēs arī liekam savu reklāmas. Tā kā tas arī tā ir viss. Man liekas, mēs arī, kā mums ir pašiem sadarbība, mēs ne tikai pārdodam, mēs pērkam no Somijas. Šie ir mūsu lielākie piegādātāji, kartonu, pašu izēju materiālu, no kā tiek iepakojums gatavots. Mēs iepērkam arī no Store Enso, kas ir, jūs droši vien, kas zinat, Somijā. Viņi ir, tad vēl ļoti daudz, mēs kartonu iepērkam arī no Zviedrijas. Un, tā kā tā. Un šie ir mūsu klienti, bet tie ir vairāk. Pazar, protams, ir viens no lielākajiem. Tā mēs esam pārstāvēti. Mūsu klientiem ir visi, es teiktu, lielākie pārtiks ražotāji Baltijā un tālāk. Karletī, Popstī ir Polijas, Dānijas uzņēmumi, viens Lūd ir Kazahstānā, tad vēl lielākie ir no Ukrainas, tā tālāk. Tā kā tas īsumā arī viss. Paldies. Ja ir kādi jautājumi, priecēšos atbildēt. Fāzer bija tā, ka mēs sākotnēji arī strādājām Fāzer Polskā, tas ir Polijā. Un tur arī referents, tur ir ļoti dažādi, viens ir, ka tu pa tiešo ej un sasniedz, bet ir tā, kad ir caur referencēm. Mūs ieteica, jo bija Fāzer, mēs jau Fāzer ražojām Polijā. Mums tagad veiksmīgi, ko mēs esam ieguvuši 2 jaunus Somijā klientus, tas pa tiešo. Galvenais ir saprast un pašam atrast tos klientus, tos mērķi klientus, apzinīt. Arī var piekrist, ka citreiz nāks apzinīt 100, pat 200 uzņēmumus un tikai tikt pie 10 tikšanām. Ja tā, ja nosūta ēpastu, ļoti bieži neatbild. Vai viņi palaiž viņu garām, vai viņš aiziet kaut kur spamos, vai ļoti bieži arī, mana pieredze, ir šie portāli, pat Kompas, un tur, kur ir iedots it kā kontaktpersonas atbildīgās par iepirkumiem, tu aizraksti viņam, izrādās, nav updatota informācija atjaunot, un tas cilvēks nestrādā, vai pieņemsim pa iepirkumos, par iepakojumu atbild 3. Atkarībā par dažādām, viens par plastmasu, viens par kartonu. Ļoti, tur ir jāzvana un jāinteresējas, vai ir saņemts ēpasts. Tā kā es teiktu, ka abi 2. Jo arī, zinot, ja tikai telefonis, tad arī palaiž neuztver to informāciju visu. Ka pat palaiž pie uzņēmuma nosaukumu, palaiž garām. Tu vari kā kaut ko precizēt pa telefonu vai sarunāt, bet Bet tas pirmais kontakts, es teiktu, tas ir abi divi. Tas ir gan e-pasts, gan telefons, un ļoti svarīgi īstenībā ir dabūt to tikšanos ar viņiem. Aizbraukt tur, tas ir ļoti svarīgi.
Tas ir viegli vai grūti, kā jūs pieredzat?
Tas prasa laiku, sarunāt šo tikšanos, bet tas ir iespējams, jā. Ja tie tenderi, tad tas ir viņiem, tā ir konkrēta procedūra, kas ir jāiziet cauri, viņi izvērtē, tur ir vesela komisija. Bet tā parasti ir iepriecēji, tas ir viens cilvēks, ar ko jūs tiekaties, viņi arī bieži vien arī ir lēmumu pieņēmēji.